Now, I won't go in depth here since this video isn't about them, but the post concludes by saying that almost every single Super Mario Bros. Runner at the event got a hand job from Tolkki, but that he didn't know of anything else that happened. That's not the important part though. What matters is that Cosmo gets mentioned in the middle of the post, and later on, there's some kind of interloping that seems to have been copy-pasted from 4chan due to the number format, which says that she slept with 2 people who weren't her husband and also made out with a bunch of other dudes. Now, a lot of this is unconfirmed rumors, and it may seem irrelevant at first glance, but people began theorizing that the paste bin, at least partially, was a conflation of Tolkki and Adrian, meaning people cobbled together multiple different rumors into one coherent story. Running parallel to the drama revolving around Sam and Tolkki were stories that during SGDQ 2014, multiple people attested to Adrian having relations with 2 different men, one of them with Cosmo in the same room, somehow unaware of what was happening. It's also worth noting that one of these men had a girlfriend, according to the post relaying this story. After the event, one of those men proceeded to visit her when Cosmo wasn't around, and she allegedly cheated on him again. Lastly, at the end of the post, a third and last guy is mentioned, Taylor Tor for the win, allegedly the main person she cheated on him with, who visited her frequently to engage in extramarital relations. The same poster who relayed this information added that these are just the confirmed instances of Adrian cheating, though in another post, they mentioned that Adrian had a history of kissing other girls while she dated Cosmo, which really upset him. And they also added that he frequently texted fellow speedrunner Sige Lemick, who apparently hated her and always told Cosmo to break up with her, that she wasn't a good person. For the time being, this all stayed under wraps, and things went on as usual, with Cosmo doing an ALS Ice Bucket Challenge and appearing on CNN later that year to talk about the speedrunning community and how he became a professional speedrunner. After 4 years of exponentially growing excellence, the golden age of Cosmo Wright was sadly coming to an end, as 2015 began in one of the worst ways possible. During that year's AGDQ, he was a victim of assault. The clip of him talking about it is no longer accessible, but an archived Reddit thread about the incident reiterates many of the things described in it. People claim that the culprit of the assault was Dick Oak, who allegedly was going out of his way to make weird bets relating to kissing Cosmo on the neck, along with doing other unusual and inappropriate things at the event. According to one poster, Dick Oak was known for not being a content creator of any kind himself, but instead for orbiting established people and providing them with drugs and alcohol, usually hanging around drunk girls. Additionally, it suggested that Dick Oak too had some kind of intercourse with Adrian, with the expressed intention of making Cosmo feel uncomfortable or humiliated, but there's no evidence of that. Other people guessed that it wasn't Dick Oak, but instead some deranged fan. However, this theory eventually got shot down by Wright himself.
I haven't really felt comfortable going to GDQ since I was really harassed by Dick Oak at AGDQ 2015. That was a really uncomfortable experience. I also felt just kind of very alienated from everyone else.
Another piece of evidence that may establish Dick Oak as being involved is a pair of pictures, which clearly show Dick Oak lunging headfirst into Cosmo's neck. There's also another picture showing a man, suggested to be him, but this guy looks a lot different than the one in the other picture, doing a kissing face next to a smiling Cosmo. Either way, this was understandably a very distressing event that made Cosmo feel unsafe in one of the few places where he truly felt at home. It probably didn't help that his girl was also apparently cheating on him there, but regardless, the incident with Dick Oak was enough to roadblock one of the main bridges between Wright and the larger speedrunning community. In April of that year, one of the people watching his stream left a hateful message in chat, prompting him to rage quit the stream altogether.
Do you think it's productive to call me a whiny Totodile Dundee? What's the point of that? Like, great fucking contribution, man. You asshole. Jesus Christ.
It was very clear that his patience was wearing thin, and at this point, enjoying streaming was becoming a tall order. And to make matters worse, the very next day after this stream, a personal friend of Cosmo's who identified as transgender took their own life. Though this wasn't ever explicitly cited as the reason, an article about the tragedy blamed it on transphobic attacks online. I'll note here that the article specifies that these attacks took place on 4chan, which they continued to use and engage with despite the hate they got. But the more important part to our story here is that following this person's death, Cosmo broke. He didn't stream for days, and when he came back, he apologized for the incident where he snapped at the chat and shut down the stream, saying that he had been depressed lately, possibly because he had heard of what his friend was planning. It didn't help that it seems that Adrian was allegedly becoming more open about her infidelity, having men over and no longer trying to keep it a secret. Although the backlash behind this came exclusively from his audience, as Cosmo was just too dejected to care at this point. About a week after this tragedy tragedy, Wright expressed he was considering quitting speedrunning altogether, as he had stopped doing streams every day and only did them once or twice a week. And even when he did, he either didn't have a face cam, had the microphone off, or both. Without a doubt, this was the lowest point for Cosmo, but unfortunately, it was far from over. He was invited to take part in the Nintendo World Championships, which would be witnessed by none other than Shigeru Miyamoto himself, the man behind Mario. In all honesty, this was like sending a war veteran with PTSD back to the front. He did much better than expected, as he made it to the finals of the championship, but once there, he was absolutely defeated in a devastating fashion by John Numbers. John blazed past him as Cosmo struggled with multiple parts of the level, and when he lost, he was given an XL Nintendo 3DS by Shigeru himself as a consolation prize. The video of this event has gone down in infamy as the straw that broke the camel's back and drove him into insanity. But as funny as it is to claim that John Numbers was responsible for permanently destroying his life and mind, the truth is much more dark and tragic, as we've just established. Within a month of this defeat, Adrian and Cosmo finally broke up, and she made a post on her Facebook talking all about it. In it, she claimed that it was mutual, and part of why they broke up was that she had to move out for family issues that she had to take care of. Despite this, she said they had no negative feelings for each other, and in the same post, she expressed she was looking forward to that year's SGDQ. Just like that, not with a bang, but with a whimper, everything that Cosmo worked for half a decade to build had fallen apart. Usually, lolcows are people who are either insane from the get-go, or were simply unequipped to deal with suddenly becoming very popular online and falling apart as a consequence. But Cosmo was different. He dealt with his online fame gracefully and didn't let it get to his head, staying humble and disciplined for the entirety of the 4 years that he was on top of his game, regardless of how meek and awkward he seemed at first. Instead, what broke him was a 7-month-long barrage of events that ranged from traumatic to catastrophic. In early August, he uploaded one final video titled Custom Jigs vs. the World, a clip of him nonchalantly talking about Jigglypuff's character in Smash Bros. And little did the audience know that this was the last time they'd see Cosmo. 3 months later, his Twitter was made private, and no one knew what was going on, until his not-so-triumphant return, not as Cosmo, but as Narcissa. The profile picture changed to a much more feminine one, and a picture of 2 bottles of pills was added, which apparently were Estradiol and Spyro, 2 common components of hormone replacement therapy. This was in late 2015, when the commentary community, largely adjacent to the gaming community, was at an all-time high of owning the libs. So one would assume that the response to this must have been extremely negative, right? Well, actually not at all. Their first stream as Narcissa came a few days after the tweet with the picture, and although it was set to sub-only mode, it packed in a few hundred viewers, all of whom were very supportive of the transition. So what gives? Well, the issue that came as a consequence was twofold. Firstly, the majority of the people who watched his streams were people interested in speedrunning and gaming in general, so when the content stopped being about that, they all tuned out. Secondly, the people who were particularly supportive of the transition and the topics relating to it didn't care about gaming and further incentivized Wright to turn their focus away from it. Because of this complete fumbling of what was once a tight-knit audience, the viewers dropped instantly, and no amount of verbal support would make any difference. But the people leaving weren't doing so out of pure disinterest. Some of them were angry. One individual took to Reddit to say, first he quit speedrunning to play the new Smash and Mario Maker without any cam, and now he's pretending to be a girl with a dumb name. And not only is his chat sub-only and filled with Tumblr homos, but his VODs are sub-only too. He even took all of the speedrunning out of his bio. Now the only thing he'll be known for is for being trans, and no one will even care about any of the actual cool stuff he did before. Cosmo, the great Zelda speedrunner, reduced to a nobody with a sub-only chat filled with nothing but Hugbox posting, telling Narcy how brave she is for screwing his body up with pills. However mean the post was, it was pretty well received by dozens, if not hundreds, of people who felt very frustrated about how the content had changed. At this point, all of the content on the Cosmo Speedruns channel was privated, and the channel's name was changed to formerly Cosmo Speedruns. But this name change was obviously a sign that it was being completely abandoned. Instead, all of the new content was going onto a channel simply called Narcissa, and none of it was gaming related. Instead, the first 4 uploads to it are time-lapse Photoshop drawings that, while they aren't bad, aren't anything to write home about. Unlike speedrunning, which effectively was turned into a profitable passion, drawing was just Cosmo's hobby, and it didn't help that the engaging commentary that separated Wright's speedruns from all the other ones were gone, now replaced with an awkward silence and occasional answers to the questions being made in the chat. After 2 months of extremely uneventful and sparing streams, along with no real content, a weird video was uploaded titled All the Categories Are Arbitrary. In it, Wright is somewhat pretentiously reading poetry over Zelda gameplay footage, drawing parallels between highly specific aspects of speedrunning and the beauty rituals he now undertook as part of his transition.
The futility of it all, the statistical waiting game, grinding endless attempts, waiting for the outlier, never enough, suboptimal, improvable. My mind wanders to the RNG, the frame-perfect timing, the human error, to the attempts, the streams, the splits, to the audience, the shit talk, the clicks, the fame. My mind wanders.
While it's not totally clear what point was supposed to be made here, what is strange is that the repeated comparisons between speedrunnings and transitioning are paired with suggestions that it was all futile. This is pretty concerning for a variety of reasons. First off, the close friend who took their own life in 2015 was also trans, and saying that everything is futile sounds dangerously close to what someone who's extremely depressed could say. Additionally, with the absence of streams and real content, his money was drying up pretty fast, and typically when people are deliberately allowing their financial life to fall apart, it could be because they've stopped planning for the future, because they're expecting that there won't be any future at all. The upload after this one was an announcement of the Narcissa Wright website, which was set up to track and rank speedrun times on the Mario Maker levels they'd created. However normal this topic was, this was one of the first on-camera appearances in a video since the transition, and viewers quickly noticed that something was slightly off.
I've uploaded 30 Mario Maker levels now, and I plan on uploading a lot more. And I've created a website where you can see the rankings for my levels. You can see who has the records.
From the odd pauses to the unnecessarily loud music and strangely performative demeanor, it felt less like something for the audience to engage with and more of a vanity upload. You can actually see from the way Wright is staring intently in a direction that isn't the camera that they're actually looking at themselves on the monitor. Back on the aforementioned and now defunct Sam and Tolkien subreddit, user Haberdasher A made a post theorizing about Wright's mental break, claiming that a reliable source gave him some information that led to his conclusions. This story, which supposedly was being kept secret by multiple people, was that the transition from Cosmo to Narcissa was an attempt at recreating the trans friend who took their own life, which to some speculators at the time explained both their close proximity and the fact that the transition concluded not just in a more feminine version of Cosmo, but in seemingly a different person entirely, with different interests and speech patterns. To them, this also explained why Adrian grew increasingly unfaithful with no issue at all, which eventually led to their relationship's undoing. Of course, this was just a theory and it could be way off, but the prospect of it being right was very daunting for fans, as it meant that another tragedy could be on its way to happening, which obviously no one wanted. In early 2016, a Kotaku article about the new direction of Wright's content was published, and although it went over many of the things we've already covered here, it also revealed some new information. After a gauntlet of standard questions, the interviewer asks about the conspicuous absence of new speedruns, asking if a hand injury of some sort was the culprit, to which Narcissa responded, "I think it's all the years of playing games. It got bad when Smash Wii U came out. I think I'm at 11,500 matches. I played for long sessions. I was playing Melee at the same time too, and that's even more demanding on your hands. If I play too long, it hurts a lot, and it hurts for a long time afterward. It's been a huge problem. It made me feel like maybe I can't get back into speedrunning as much as I want to with Castlevania and stuff. But I was sort of running out of motivation for that as well. It wasn't just the hand issue. I don't plan on going on and doing something because that's what everyone wants to see. I know people want to see certain things out of me, but I want to focus on stuff that I'm actually passionate about. Maybe that's kind of ungrateful. It's like, I'm only going to do what I'm passionate about. Now, please pay for my existence. Maybe that's super entitled, but I feel like I'm at my best when I can work on things I'm actually passionate about. Stuff that's actually meaningful instead of meaningless. In the interview, they also spoke about suffering DDoS attacks for over a month, which is implied to be the work of trolls, but it's uncertain if that's the case since they suffered DDoS attacks prior to the transition as well. Overall, there seemed to be a glimmer of hope that there would be some kind of happy medium to be found, as they came off quite reasonably in the interview. However, the same couldn't be said about the videos going up on the Narcissa Wright channel. While there were occasional gameplay videos with normal narration, there'd also be extremely concerning vlogs. For example, in this one, Wright began to look much thinner, talking about being depressed and having to smoke weed constantly while sensory stimming themselves and staring into the video feedback on the monitor with a crooked smile. A snapshot from their Twitter account from around this time reflected the same things. Themes of having to constantly use drugs to feel good, frustration with having to do adult things like getting health insurance, which some speculate caused Narcissa to lose access to HRT and have to buy it online instead, feeling lost and depressed, crying frequently, yearning to not have to deal with any responsibilities, and saying odd things like, "I want to touch and be touched." In another vlog, Wright says they impulsively deleted their Twitch account but didn't know why. This was particularly odd since the tweet from the same month expressed that the streams were even going off of sub-only mode and were doing fine without the excessive hate. A few months later, however, Wright claimed to be addicted resorted to actively seeking out negative comments, not just on YouTube, which at this point wasn't even possible since most of the comment sections had been turned off, but also on 4chan and Reddit, saying that there was nothing better to do.
There's a lot of places where people talk about me, and I read all of it. Like, everything anyone says about me, I just read it. I have nothing better to do. I wake up and there's nothing to do, and I read it, and I do, and it hurts.
This is a huge red flag on its own. Seeking out negative commentary about yourself when you're an internet personality is never a good idea, but it's especially concerning when we take into account the fact that Wright's late trans friend was alleged to have done the same exact thing. In the wake of the deletion of the Twitch account, another article and interview went up, with Wright being quoted as saying, "Today feels like the worst day in a while. I want to die. Painlessly, please. I googled harmless self-delete methods, but they all seem cumbersome. I don't think I'd actually go through with anything, but it sure is nice to fantasize about not having to deal anymore." As the topic of speedrunning came up, Wright once again started talking in an almost nihilistic tone about how arbitrary and meaningless it all was, eventually devolving into a rant.
It's like you'll never be as good. I just feel like I'm ahead of everyone. Everyone's behind me. I'm like way ahead of everyone.
Fine day.
Oh my god, and I hate it too. I feel so arrogant and like it's just like I wake up and there's nothing to do. And so I'll just take a bath, then I'll go get high, and then I'll go read the internet, and I'll read what everyone says about me, and I'll just refresh the YouTube comments forever. Some people said I should open a Patreon. I bet that would piss everyone off so much. And honestly, like, other people need the money more than me. Should I just do it? Just take the money. Take your money. Here, go pay for me to sit around and get high and complain about my life and read negative things people say about me. It's like, I don't know what you're paying for.
In the same video, Wright acknowledges that they're still doing fine as far as finances go, so their situation isn't dire by any means, which makes their frustration at how people are attached to their old self that much more confusing and misdirected. If they truly aren't satisfied with their new identity, as they repeatedly claim in the vlog, why go out of your way to engage with people who aren't, if not to convince yourself of it? As their mental state rapidly deteriorated, so did the content. In one upload, Wright unknowingly recreates that one scene in Joker where he's dancing in the bathroom after he loses his mind. Nothing else really happens, but either way, it's pretty disturbing to watch.
A bowl of broth is more point than you.
And this is just one of multiple uploads that contained nothing but Wright standing around awkwardly, posing and making faces while staring at the camera, sometimes humming music, and at other times dancing like Buffalo Bill.
I wish that I could turn back.
Someone else also noticed the similarities between the two and made a video titled MTF Transition Speedrun, where they played the same song from the scene of Buffalo Bill dancing over Wright's video. Other examples of content from this time period include Wright casually talking about their bedroom and throwing away empty boxes of Soylent. This is not a joke, by the way, this is actually real. To put it in simple terms, the content was not content at all. Even when there was gaming involved, it was equally underwhelming, and Narcissa was clearly dejected, with none of the energy they once had. Additionally, the narcissistic rants kept coming. In one segment from a stream in May, despite all of the stuff said about how speedrunning is dumb and pointless, Wright began bragging about their accomplishments.
People don't even know this, but like, my epic speedruns, I used to be an epic Smash player in Melee. I used to be a tournament player for like years and years and years and years. God damn it, like, I am like the entitled millennial, I am the digital dreamer, I am future child, and if you think my stream isn't worth it, then you, honestly, you. I am worth it. I'm worth keeping alive, and I'm worth keeping around, and I'm worth working on my passions. If I work on my passions, I can do amazing things, and like, people don't even see that. People are so stupid. Work is bullshit. We should all work on automating this world. I'm serious. The world is just filled with data, and you can make machines see the data, and you can make them do stuff. And you can make robotics, and you can make intelligent machines, and like, you think you're a Starbucks barista, but that job is going to be automated in like 20 years or less. Probably less. McDonald's is going to be automated. All the is going to be automated. Everything's going to be automated. Such a stupid asshole. I'm just like way smarter than everyone, and I'm way ahead of everyone. I'm more educated than everyone.
Even when the streams did consist of gameplay, they were also filled with pointless tangents that highlighted how sad the situation was. During an episode of a Twilight Princess gameplay, an email Wright had sent to the actual Soylent company was read out loud, which had them basically begging for a sponsorship despite having no viewers. Begging for a sponsorship with nothing to offer is bad enough, but doing it for Soylent is a deeper level of misery. Right around the same time, Wright did a brief stream where they essentially blamed carpal tunnel syndrome for the lack of good speedrunning content. The extremely outspoken love for Soylent led many to cast doubt on the seriousness of his wrist issues. Basing ourselves solely on what Wright revealed about their personal habits, it's easy to conclude that Narcissa was drastically malnourished as the centerpiece of their diet was soy, which here and there is fine, but no one thing is supposed to be your entire diet. It also probably doesn't help that they never left the house, did any exercise, got any sunlight, or hung out with any friends. Narcissa was the living definition of terminally online. While this is mostly speculation, there is some research indicating that high doses of estrogen can increase the risk of injury related to skeletal issues, and that extended exposure to blue light, which is the kind of light that electronics and monitors emit, as well as poor sleep, all lead to rapidly aging ligaments. Given that Cosmo was possibly on black market hormone replacement at this time due to no longer having health insurance and spending north of 14 hours a day staring at his computer screen, it seems like Narcissa was doing every single health-destroying thing that they could possibly do. Not just physically, but also mentally. From here, the content only got more erratic. Half-hour-long singing streams.
You in the pants, hot pants, get the people to dance and relax.
Along with bizarre clips of Wright saying, "Don't tell me what to do."
Don't tell me what to do.
Why are we still here?
And then, of course, there's the video where they cuddle with a pillow for 2 minutes straight while saying nothing. In September of that year, YouTuber Apollo Legend made a short video titled The Downfall of Narcissa Wright, compiling and commenting on the most deranged stream moments that had come out. In the video, the point he makes was that if Wright had simply continued to speedrun, their downfall wouldn't have occurred at all. The video got a lot of views and was widely hailed as a very fair breakdown, even if the coverage was pretty friendly. But unfortunately, this didn't change anything, as Wright continued to doom post on Twitter about their financial situation, as if the only option was to continue streaming non-content and have meltdowns about it. While pity baiting didn't work, Narcissa did delete their Twitch and Discord entirely, and then threatened to do something drastic once they ran out of money. Coincidentally, the very next move was to open a Patreon, with the tiers being promises of consuming bad batches of Soylent for the audience's entertainment. I think this is one of the many instances of Wright conflating the audience being mad at them for being self-destructive, with the audience egging the self-destruction on. Realistically, there's no reason to consume bad Soylent that may hurt you if you're not trying to make a martyr out of yourself. And by October, it seemed like that was the path Narcissa was going down. A few videos titled Pathetic Video were posted where Wright plays up the e-begging.
Oh, please support my Patreon, please. Please. I just need another $1,500 per month, please. Please support me, please.
It's clearly done ironically, but taking into account the other extremely childish behaviors, like bragging about being purposely toxic to make people mad.
I flash my ego, and then people try to tear me down. And they can't resist.
As well as saying they didn't want a one-on-one connection with someone, but instead wanted to be adored by the masses, there's a genuine thread of extremely stunted development weaving all of Wright's obnoxious behaviors together. It's like instead of transitioning in gender, Narcissa transitioned in age, because ever since 2015, Wright became increasingly comfortable with being immature, even if it meant spitting in the faces of the very same people who had made them money online as a streamer in the first place. It didn't stop at the fans either, as when other streamers reached out trying to help them get money through Twitch, Wright responded by saying, "All these speedrunners trying to make ends meet through Twitch subs and donations, trying to lecture me with their financial advice." When someone responded, pointing out that at least those guys weren't making pathetic videos begging for money, Wright replied saying that those videos were a high art form and more interesting than any speedrun content. Things seemed to be taking a turn for the worse, however that was possible, as Wright announced they'd stop doing drugs and instead get on clonazepam. Clonazepam is a benzodiazepine, one of the most misused and misprescribed psychiatric medications conditions to the point where its abuse has been described as an epidemic, and it's played a role in about a fifth of all drug overdose deaths. It's claimed here that the benzos were prescribed, but even if they were, should someone in as frail of a mental state and as fickle as Narcissa Wright be given the green light to pop a bean once in a while? A lot of people found this behavior very concerning, as even the mods of their own Discord server were jumping ship, and as they continued to be mistreated and insulted despite giving Wright their undivided attention and money, something unexpected happened. On the 11th of November, streamer Destiny posted a clip titled "Some Thoughts on Transgenderism," where he said,
"The two problems that I have with the trans community are, it seems like a lot of trans people have like a lot of other mental problems. Like, it seems to be pretty rare that I find somebody who happens to be trans and I just find that out, transgendered, rather than like a transgender person has a lot of mental health issues. Like, I guess like I'm thinking of people like Cosmo / Narcissa, clearly has a lot of mental problems going on. So for instance, if you look at the stuff going on with Narcissa is in the head. She has severe problems with her life mentally, right? It's very obvious when you watch it. But I don't think that she's ever going to get the help that she needs because she's trans. She has an infinite amount of overwhelmingly positive support from the trans community, which I think is disgusting.
As soon as they caught wind of this, Wright responded, claiming that they were mentally fine, and much later down the line, the two even had a conversation about refraining from reading online hate as it does no good. Unfortunately, Wright wasn't being very honest with their intentions here, because as soon as the judicious eyes of Destiny and his fanbase looked the other way, Narcissa went right back to regularly scheduled programming.
I'm out of my mind, out of my f***ing mind. I'm out of my f***ing mind, out of my f***ing mind. I'm out of my f***ing mind, out of my mind.
And during this period, people noticed a recurring theme as well. Wright would bring up the upcoming release of the new Zelda game, Breath of the Wild, seemingly with absolute certainty that it could revive their online career, going as far as to say they expected to get 20,000 concurrent viewers on their first stream of it, or else they'd be forever disappointed. Whenever someone in the chat expressed skepticism about the hype, it was met with an extremely negative reaction. It was clear that the attachment to the game was another delusion and not a healthy and realistic plan for the future, like they'd had many times back when they were still Cosmo. After incessant back and forths with the stream chat, Wright went on to do a very freaky workout video, which I guess was for the wrist thing. The issue here being that besides the freaky faces during the workout, the weights are almost insignificantly light. If Wright actually trained their forearms with a reasonable amount of weight, it's much more likely that the wrist issue would lessen over time. It would also mean their body would change, with their arms getting bigger compared to the rest of their body, resulting in some kind of fentanyl-addicted Popeye thing going on. From sleep streams to not delivering an artwork commission from a fan to the tune of $700 because of not having time, there were many signs that things would only continue to go downhill, Breath of the Wild or not. During this time, the Sam and Tolkien subreddit was officially in on the Wright story, covering their descent into insanity with as much flair as expected from that community. One thread made a parody of Shake That Ass by Eminem, which went 2 to the 1 to the 1 to the 3. I got boy and I got bad teeth. Drink so much soy you wouldn't believe, and I get more gas than an SUV.
What'd he say? What'd he say?
Another post attached an image of Wright dancing titled, "Cosmo, your latest L is far too massive for humanity to comprehend." And a comment underneath it read, "When Narcissa dies, that apartment is going to need a priest or a shaman to cleanse it from all of the negative energy she leaves there. Imagine that at the apartment you live in used to live this ghoulish looking nut job that cried every day and did weird dances." In possibly one of the dumbest moves made so far, Narcissa tried to get the fanbase, all 12 people who were still there, to go to war with the Sam and Tolkien subreddit, which is obviously not a good idea. If you're getting hate online, targeting the specific people who hate you and trying to brigade that subreddit is generally a very, very bad idea. Another pretty fruitless endeavor from this period was the campaign to get a free copy of the Nintendo Switch with Breath of the Wild early, which Wright argued that they deserved for their speedrunning Zelda stuff from years ago. Mind you, in the past few years, Wright had constantly bashed their own achievements as if they were meaningless and swore off speedrunning altogether. Whatever occasional self-awareness Narcissa showed about the self-destruction was quickly undercut by more manic depressive delusions, usually revolving around the obsessive thought that if Breath of the Wild didn't work, there was no reason to live. Eventually, the game's release came around, and not only did Wright return to Zelda, but they actually got the attention of major gaming news outlets in the process, which effectively promoted the streams. It looked like it could have been a huge comeback arc. Unfortunately, when the return happened, it garnered around 2,000 viewers at its peak, which, despite being a very decent number for someone who hadn't done any proper content in 2 years, didn't satisfy Wright's arbitrary standards of how much fame they deserved. Instead of taking it with gratitude that they could still attract that many people to the content, Wright began spam posting about Sam and Tolkien, begging begging everyone there to stop talking about them, all while ignoring any kind of advice from both fans and detractors to either stop feeding into the negative attention, or if they didn't want any negative attention at all, just leave the internet. But the subreddit's consensus from the beginning was pretty straightforward. Narcissa didn't need money, viewers, or anything of the sort. They needed to get off stream and find help, desperately. Right's response was that they were bigots and sadists who enjoyed watching someone they disliked have meltdowns. The thing is, even if that is partially true, it doesn't change the fact that voluntarily exposing yourself to toxicity is a sign of being very mentally unwell. The hard thing to acknowledge is that sometimes the trolls and the haters are right, and them being trolls doesn't always invalidate what they say. You can't simultaneously gloat about how much you enjoy getting on people's nerves, and then get mad and cry when people are making fun of you for streaming yourself doing pretentious non-content. But Narcissa Wright's last-ditch attempt at getting them to stop was creating a separate subreddit just for Narcissa criticism. And of course, Narcissa was the one and only moderator of the sub, meaning no post would ever go up. Between Narcissa delusionally claiming to have transcended humanity and suffered ego death, and the too deep for you poems about speedrunning categories, the closest thing to an achievement Wright got here was a world record in an extremely specific category of Breath of the Wild that didn't have many entries and wasn't competitive. As it turns out, the game's release changed nothing, as the issues were much deeper than the content. In response to someone saying that some soul searching might be in order, Wright had a complete meltdown.
Soul searching might be in order. What do you think I've been doing over the last, 3 years? What do you think I've been doing?
But by this point, people didn't want to make fun of Narcissa as much as they were expressing concern, saying that professional help was definitely in order. However, Haberdasher A, the person in charge of Sam and Tolkki, said, "We've been trying to do that for months. She absolutely hates when people suggest she get professional help. Like a few months ago when she came to this sub, 90% of the people in the thread were begging her to get help. She ignored them and still calls this place a hate sub, even though we're just about the only people who actually give a damn. There's no way to actually get a person help unless they do it themselves. So a person can stream to hundreds of people daily mental breakdowns and nothing is done about it." Soon after reeling in from this incident, another even more disturbing moment happened.
The boys, I have power over them. Is it a power thing for me? Is it a power thing? Do I like that feeling of power in which the boys get horny and then they're like, oh, and then they shoot me the DM. They slide into my DMs. Oh my god.
Narcissa was now taking Klonopin to stave off the anxiety attacks, but they expressed they were considering going back to other drugs due to life feeling too difficult. Around the same time, they tweeted that there was a beautiful girl in their bed, with the very next tweet having an image attached of Wright and an unnamed person, later revealed to be one of their chat members, D-Girl, a fellow trans woman. Given how the last relationship went, most people thought this was bad news. And it's at this point when we have to get into the Walgreens incident, which despite sounding really funny and also menacing at the same time, is just pathetic.
Was that the bite of 87?
For context, Wright had been chronically suffering from bad constipation due to the pure Soylent diet, which, by the way, multiple doctors advised against. Instead of listening, Wright just embraced being in constant intestinal pain for months, relying on fiber supplements to get by. This went fine until one fateful day, which Wright retells as follows. "I was like, maybe I could just walk into Walgreens and show my doctor's paper thing that says I should get this fiber stuff and be like, hey, really unfortunate situation. I guess that my debit card is gone, so I have no money. So maybe I could get this now and somehow work out a solution to get this thing that I need to stop being in pain or whatever." And so I go to Walgreens, I show them the thing, and I explain the situation. And the guy's like, no, this is an over-the-counter thing and there's no prescription for this. You have to pay for this. We can't help you. I was really pissed off, so I walked to the front and I talked to the cashier. They're like, you should talk to the manager. So they call the manager, and the manager says there's no way you can get this. I was getting kind of flustered. I was like, I need this. I was getting kind of upset. I was like, can you pay for it and I'll pay you back? And he's like, no. I was like, what if I just take this and walk out the store with it? He's like, we'll call the cops then. I was considering it, but I put the thing down and I was shaking my head and walked away. I was so pissed off. I was like, I can't wait till these Walmart capitalist nightmare assholes lose their job to automation. I was so shook by that, I called my dad. If that wasn't enough, Wright may or may not have looked like this during the Walgreens incident. This was the result of Narcissa cutting their hair with scissors during a mental breakdown. And yeah, it looks like that. They eventually did go bald to correct the catastrophe that was that cut, but before that could happen, Wright decided it was a good idea to call up the self-harm prevention hotline in the middle of the stream. The comments on a Sam and Tolkien thread summarize what happened. When she called them up, the expression on her face looked like she'd struck gold, and before that, she gloated that people were paying attention after she cut her hair on stream. Narcissa admits she feels better because there's more people paying attention after the call, and asks, "Why weren't you watching when I broke the Breath of the Wild record before starting another run with 400 new viewers?" Based on that description, it looks like Narcissa just called the hotline up to get more viewers on stream, which is as low as it gets. Around the same time, Wright can be seen psychologically breaking down at freefall speed, sobbing while making a heart gesture with her hands. But as with every other instance, nothing came of it. No introspection, no taking a break, no turning their life around, nothing. And after this, they did officially go full bald, prompting a lot of memes and comparisons to Nosferatu. It's worth noting that the shaved head came just a few weeks before Wright began epilating on stream, meaning plucking their body hairs out. It's very interesting because the pathological intent to remove body hair is a known symptom of OCD. In turn, this and OCD are closely associated with body dysmorphic disorder, as people with BDD compulsively self-check and arbitrarily obsess over certain aspects of their body, even ones that they have no power to change. And unfortunately, there's also some relation to anorexia, although anorexia hinges more on whether the person practices severe caloric restrictions, like, for example, constantly eating meal replacements instead of actual meals, like Soylent. It was very clear that whatever undiagnosed conditions Wright had were worsening at a very fast rate, despite Wright's Breath of the Wild run being rejected by the 2017 HRDQ, with John Numbers successfully getting into another competition, by the way. It still wasn't over. In 2017, Wright suddenly began streaming Ocarina of Time to celebrate the 10-year anniversary of one of the game's famous sequence breaks, and this was actually pretty well received by people who yearned to see a glimmer of what used to be. And surprisingly, Wright actually followed up on it, promising to continue focusing on running Breath of the Wild, not letting the previous rejections get to them. But before all of this motivation could get any momentum, Wright once again reported suffering from severe depression, which may or may not have something to do with the fact that Adrian came out on Facebook claiming that their relationship was abusive, without actually specifying the abuse. But Adrian did make it clear she was talking about Narcissa, since she mentioned speedrunning in her post. The response to Adrian was disjointed and hesitant, with Wright first saying the breakup crushed both of them, and later adding and confirming that Adrian frequently flirted with other men at GDQ. And at one point, apparently she was flying another speedrunner into their house, who stayed there for a week against Narcissa's wishes. Per these messages, it appears Adrian wanted an open relationship and seemingly was going to get it, whether Wright agreed or not. Later on, it was also revealed that Adrian didn't approve of the open relationship going both ways, even expressing jealousy over Wright potentially being with a girl they showed no signs of liking. Regardless, according to these Discord messages, Adrian went on to be with 5 other men. But despite all of the rumors, all of the gossip being spread, and especially despite the allegations of abuse, it didn't seem like it fazed Narcissa too much, as immediately after, a new relationship was announced, with someone named Willow. In the document containing the rules for the relationship, because yes, there was a document, the articles established that both Narcissa and Willow are kitties, and that Narcissa likes to submit to her kitty sometimes. It also ratifies that they both were in a closed polyamorous relationship where they could be with other people from time to time, but only if both parties agreed. And lastly, we have to note here that neither party is allowed to finish until they see each other. I'm frankly at a loss for words here, as Wright was immediately back on Reddit, screaming at people about how speedrun categories are unfair. And things got even darker here, because immediately after, Wright exacts revenge by vandalizing the Zelda speedrun site which they had access to. Apparently, this act of cyber vandalism happened because Wright was mad at the staff for selling graphic t-shirts and running speedrun charity marathons of their own. Fortunately, the people in charge of the website easily reversed these changes, with Wright failing to do any permanent damage. But in the face of this abject failure, Wright once again fell apart, crying while watching Berserk, which resulted in a Twitch ban. Instead of taking this as a sign to take a step back, maybe get offline and try to get their life, I don't know, turned around in some way, Wright instead announced on Twitter that it was time to get high. To make matters worse, Wright tweeted out that fictional characters are real, illuminating the audience to how delusional they were getting. And in early 2018, we also get a very weird yoga moment. Brace yourselves here. The insanity doesn't stop there either. The next order of business was streaming themselves cuddling with another person on Chatterbait, and within 1 month, Narcissa was back to engaging with haters and people who generally disliked them, this time on Kiwi Farms. Initially, this wasn't that bad and even kind of funny, as people pointed out that Wright seemingly got more upset at a farmer who got emulator specifics wrong than all of the instances of people calling them Cosmo or saying much meaner things. This is just one of the many instances where it seemed that for all their ideological differences, Wright actually had more in common with their detractors than the rest of the speedrunning community. However, tensions really rose when Wright began engaging with one specific user by the name of Dhume, making video replies to their posts. You see, Dhume was someone who claimed to have been closely familiar with Wright back during the Cosmo years, and provided previously unseen pictures to prove it. In one of the posts, he described Wright as someone with OCD and autogynephilia, meaning someone who feels a strong drive to appear as a woman, often to the point of arousal. Despite how diametrically opposed Wright was to Kiwi Farms, to the point of suggesting that online anonymity should end and all internet use should be tied to your real name, their interactions were pretty peaceful, even if somewhat uneasy. Unfortunately, as Wright's situation got more dire, they started posting back on the Sam and Tolkien subreddit begging for donations. "I'm not getting a job. I refuse. You all yelling at me only solidifies my new plan to go live with my parents once all my money is gone. I am not like you. I am a different creature. Stop trying to force society upon me and leave me alone." In the comments, people pointed out how hypocritical it was to simultaneously tell people to stay away and then beg them for money, to which Narcissa replied, "Actually, I'm ahead of my time, like how Alan Turing was hated for being gay." Eventually, Haberdasher A chimed into the thread, saying, "Okay, and what are you going to do when your parents are gone or are too old to take care of you? This is not going to work. You need to be thinking of a real solution to your issues while you still have time. And when I say get a job, I'm not talking about being a cashier at Walmart. You have skills to be picked up by a lot of different companies, or you could do your own freelance work. You have so many options in agency, yet you act like you have it harder than anyone else. Do you know how many uneducated minimum wage workers would love to be in your position right now with your qualifications and opportunities? It is unbelievable that you would waste it all simply because you don't want to work. But whatever, you ignored my advice and others' advice for years now. You listened to your enablers instead, and look where it got you. Go ahead and refuse to do anything, and ruin what's left of your life just to spite us. I'm done trying to help because you never listen. I still feel really bad, however. I'm never going to forget what it was like in 2013. This post was extremely scathing, not because it was insulting, but also because it was completely true. So much so that Narcissa didn't really even offer a rebuttal. But apparently this post was on their mind enough that they did eventually respond.
I would rather myself than get some f***ing job that I don't care about. I would actually rather myself. I will be sticking to that 100%, by the way. Like, I will not get a job. I promise that's true. I 100% promise. There's no changing my mind.
Wright would soon have to reconsider this when on June 6th, their Twitch channel was indefinitely suspended for 2 instances of explicit content, which I'm guessing includes uncensored anime scenes, extended non-interactive content, being them sleeping on stream, and strangest of all, solicitation in exchange for self-destructive behavior. 4 of these offenses had taken place in just the previous 30 days, along with a copyright takedown for restreaming anime. But this ban notice doesn't really do justice to what actually caused it all to topple down. In a fit of insanity, Wright started putting up images of fetish material completely uncensored. In the aftermath, they made a series of tweets about ending their own Twitch channel on purpose for no reason, as well as making multiple threats to do something very, very drastic. It's interesting to see Wright explain this as the culmination of years of isolation from the speedrunning community as a consequence of the transition and trolling. In reality, this is an elaborate cope. There are more than a few transgender people in GDQ and the speedrunning community at large. It's not just that the two aren't mutually exclusive, there are actually dozens and dozens of people who are trans in the speedrunning community who do not get the level of hate that Narcissa gets. Somehow, these people manage to take part in championships and do runs without streaming themselves crying and flashing weird images on screen for all to see. Narcissa resorted to streaming on YouTube and actively inviting haters onto the stream to argue with them, like boring haters who hurled insults or glazers who wanted to enable their behavior. One particular call really stood out. A fan of Wright's old content who had stuck around and continued to hope that speedrunning would make a return, along with just the healthy streams in general, triggered an emotional response from Wright, who began crying. 4 hours after that, the crying returned, but this time, instead of being tears of reminiscent joy, it was in the form of an extremely neurotic breakdown. And in the end, this stream ended up getting a lot of attention, although not for the right reasons, as it led to one of the most psychologically destructive moments ever caught on camera. In a video where Wright read through posts on 4chan's video games board, one post came along that ruined their day. This is what happens when you give up but don't resort to taking yourself out. You blame everything on being a male, so you defect to the female side thinking this will be different. Narcissa read the entire thing, and this was the reaction.
What makes me such a big bullying target, though? It's the only way I get attention is to get bullied. Oh, no.
Whatever downward spiral Wright was already on was set into hyperdrive. A while later, during one of Wright's empty streams where nothing happened, someone made a post on Reddit saying, "Narcissa is currently laying in bed resting while streaming. If you turn up the volume, you can hear her having phone sex with her new man, Isaac. She's saying a lot of sexual things. It's disturbing because she knows the stream is online and is doing it anyway." A lot of people also speculated that they were, touching themselves during this incident. And for context, Isaac, like others of Wright's partners during this time, was a known Narcissa Wright super fan who posted a lot to the chat. In another stream from the same period, Wright can be seen begging for Isaac to come over to their place. While this infatuation with Isaac was very intense and resulted in a lot of freaky stream moments, it only lasted for a little while, until Wright got bored of him and gave Isaac the cold shoulder. And this marked a significant uptick in insanity, as Wright said they were now taking 15 milligrams of Lexapro in a day and a half, and concurrently taking mushrooms. I'm not a doctor, but I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say you're not really supposed to do that. After more crying on stream and outright insulting the viewers,
I have no respect for my chat. You're all just completely worthless to me. You're completely worthless. You're detrimental. You all think you know, but you don't know, and it just further drives home the nail in the coffin that says, "You're alone."
Wright gave a last address in the form of a VTuber video.
I give and you take. I give and you take. I give and you reform me into something sinister.
For the first time in a really long time, this was followed by an actual hiatus, during which Wright disappeared, even if the discussion raged on. And one controversy that largely went under the radar because of the break, perhaps by design, was the almost forgotten Patreon account, which had made $7,000 that people speculated Wright had not paid taxes on, and instead proceeded to spend all of it on daily DoorDash orders and drugs, as well as some risky crypto tokens. During the time Wright was supposedly off the internet, the aforementioned Isaac began making posts about their relationship. I won't give this aspect of the story too much attention because Isaac is kind of a schizophrenic parasite who just wanted to be a part of the Narcissa Wright story, but it is worth bringing up because he confirmed that Wright was already living with her mom and dad, and that they'd been working on a game during their time away from streaming. But during this period of downtime, some people speculated that maybe Narcissa was finally leaving the internet, finally improving their mental health, and finally getting better. But the hopes of the few that were still rooting for them were ultimately crushed when the streams came back, albeit in a very limited way, now only allowing certain people to be a part of it so that the trolls would stay away. During the hiatus, a trailer for a documentary about Wright's life was also released called Break the Game, although it was clear from the small amount of footage released that it would probably be heavily biased in their favor. But finally, after 2019 being a year of complete radio silence, in January of 2020, Wright, now going by a new name of Melancholy on Twitter, teased not just a return to content, but actually a return to Ocarina of Time. With no ceremony or proper videos about it, the speedruns started coming in, and as January 2020 approached its end, so did Wright approach #1 on the time rankings. Within days, Wright put up a new record, beating the last one by 2 whole minutes, once again becoming the #1 Ocarina of Time speedrunner on planet Earth. On the same day, they broke their own record by another 5 seconds, showing that Narcissa was finally putting in actual effort to perfecting their runs. Strangely enough, the return to Ocarina of Time was also punctuated with a very edgy arc on Twitter, with Wright praising Elon Musk, NFTs, attacking Black Lives Matter, and spewing out catchphrases like defund the thought police. After a long period of videos with no voice, Wright finally made an upload to their Smash Brothers channel that actually contained a voiceover, and here, Narcissa sounded strangely normal.
Hello, I just wanted to give some thoughts on Smash right now. Here's my current opinions. I think Byleth is in the bottom half of the cast and is very limited.
Straight into the point commentary with no sidetracking, just talking about the game, which was very, very unusual by this point. Coincidentally, one of Wright's ex-partners also decided to detransition right around the same time. And unrelated to this insane arc came lore drops about Wright's family through his mom's Twitter account, revealing that they owed $100,000 in student loans for sending him to college, and that all 3 of them were living on $16,000 a year. year, which, since she's talking to a government official, is assumed to mean $16,000 in benefits. Based on other findings, internet sleuths speculated that Wright's parents had divorced and potentially remarried, and that Wright's mom has struggled with substance abuse and depression, which could have been a big cause of Wright's own issues. However, this is all speculation. What isn't speculation is a message Wright had sent over on Discord. For context, during this period, the phrase "concept of" was often used as a preamble to everything that was said for unclear and pretentious reasons. They would just start every statement with "concept of," but either way, this is going to be pretty easy to understand. The messages read, "Concept of Zero showing hentai to underage girl. When I was a kid, there was this girl named Gwen, and I liked when she sat on top of me. This is like hard to talk about. She was even younger. I felt ashamed when my dad found us, and I felt like I was manipulating the situation. Concept of taboo and shame. Gwen wasn't even 10, she was like 8, was high manipulative and screwed up probably. Concept of yikes. Also, cuddled with my cousin Emma several times, which felt amazing. Concept of incest. Was the only intimate touching I had for like a 10-year streak, I think. So like from age 13 to 23, no touching. No sex. There was dry humping with Emma, and I did climax in my pants despite no nudity. Also seemed to get drawn to Shotokan hentai. Shotokan means the attraction to underage characters drawn in anime. And other Discord messages show that they'd been consuming this kind of material since they were 10 years old, and that this set of images were immediately followed by Wright linking to an adult cartoon website with a very weird title. This link resulted in a ban from Discord, which Wright complained about on Twitter as if it was just a link to any kind of adult cartoons and not specifically ones featuring their interest in juvenile characters. This looks really bad regardless of how you put it. In very late 2021, an update to the Break the Game documentary was made, showing that it had gotten $50,000 on Kickstarter, but was still nowhere near completion. Between messages confessing to doing so much THC that they felt like they were dying, LSD-fueled tweets about winning illuminations, and saying homophobic slurs on Discord, unfortunately it seems like the comeback arc was officially over, and Wright had reached a new breaking point. This was followed by explicit threats against Twitch headquarters and the instant deactivation of their channel. This incident was so controversial, there were articles written about it by Dexerto. And despite that, Wright continued to make more threats, this time on Twitter, and targeted specifically at SGDQ. Surprisingly, none of this was actually punished as the ban was lifted soon after, which many chalked up to a very lenient and inconsistent Twitch staff. And unfortunately, this slap on the wrist did nothing to curb the bad behavior, followed by even more substance abuse, and a Narcissa Wright saying that they no longer felt bad for the comments they made about Twitch, as they made even more threats and then got banned a second time, prompting an extremely unhinged Twitter tirade about thought crime. Over the course of just 2 years, Narcissa Wright had gone from saying that the internet should be surveilled so that no one could even misgender them, to saying that they were being persecuted for thought crimes. Talk about a radical transition. Interestingly enough, it was also during this period that the inspiration for the name Narcissa might have been unintentionally revealed. On a separate channel, Wright began posting videos reading the Harry Potter series. And this is a bit of a conspiracy theory. One of the early antagonists is Draco Malfoy, a wizard who lets his natural talent at magic take him down a dark path, and who also happened to be protected and spoiled by his mom, who is named Narcissa. Kind of weird. Although at this same time period, we did get a little bit of self-awareness from Narcissa.
I guess becoming a girl was the worst financial decision I've ever made because Narcissa Wright was never able to make it as a streamer.
However, all of the online drama instantly became irrelevant when on the 11th of August, Wright's mother, who he had been living with, passed away. Not only was this a tragedy in its own right, but it also meant they'd have to move. The death of Narcissa's mom marked a sharp downturn in their online presence, becoming much sparser for the rest of the year. In March of 2023, Discord messages showed Wright talking about Narcissa Wright being dead and starting over with a new name and YouTube channel, a new frontier, a new identity to change things around. While this could sound hopeful, it's unfortunately punctuated by Wright asking, "Is ending my life really so bad?" Later on in the year, the Break the Game documentary finally had some real-life showings with audiences, and based on the reviews available online, the documentary was indeed heavily biased to the point that it painted Wright in a very good light and consisted mostly of screen captures of live streams, which is absolutely insane considering that this thing somehow cost $50,000 in half a decade to make. When it was finally released to the public, people described it as depicting Wright as an innocent, feminine child who was being bullied for no reason. It also contained a very weird scene in which, upon going on a trail with whom I can only assume is the aforementioned D-girl, the sheer sight of sunlight and grass makes Wright spontaneously vomit Soylent. This probably happened because if you're sedentary and inactive enough, even a light walk can cause your body to hurl whatever it has inside of it. It's worth noting here that the footage used in the documentary was very old, and it's hard to say if Wright even stands by how it depicts them. But in November 2023, a new stream went up, and as soon soon as it started, you could once again hear Narcissa breaking down in tears. On the same day, Wright suggested that Twitch was cooperating with Kiwi Farms to cancel them before apparently supporting someone who is 27 years old and dating a 16-year-old. In the tweet, Narcissa uses a homophobic slur, which obviously pissed off the few remaining fans Narcissa had left. And as a result, when a follower pointed it out, Wright replied by calling them a racial slur. While this could be a sign that Wright was as deranged as ever, by juxtaposing the Discord messages about the death of Narcissa Wright alongside the uses of offensive words, it reminded Wright's followers of someone that they used to know.
I got $1 from James who said, "You're a f***it." Thank you, James.
But these incidents were ultimately followed by silence. As the occasional uploads on the Narcissa Wright channel slowed to a halt, Wright's online presence fell into a deeper state of inactivity, until suddenly, the Cosmo Speedruns channel had the word formerly, which was in its name since Wright's transition, removed from the channel. In June 2024, a video was ultimately uploaded where Wright covered all of their speedrunning and general gaming achievements over the previous 7 years, and their voice seemed to have much less of the usual Narcissa affect to it. This was then followed by the announcement of a new channel and rebrand to Nova Wright, and the comments, warranted or not, are all celebrating Wright's escape from the mental situation they were in. While this new channel hasn't been extremely active since its creation, it notably doesn't have any pronouns in its about section, which is also true for the Twitter account created for it. The first video on the channel is all about speedrunning on a PlayStation controller, and although Narcissa's face isn't in the video, their hands can be seen, which a lot of people have pointed out has no nail polish, leading to a lot of speculation about what's really going on here. Is Narcissa finally turning their online career around? It's possible, but whether Narcissa revives their online career or falls back into their old ways remains to be seen. Until then, I've been Turkey Tom, thanks for watching, and until next time, leave me alone. You've probably seen this clip before.
You should kill yourself now.
But despite how famous the memes of him are, few people know the whole story of the man behind them. Known online as
Low tier God.
He claims his real name is DeLuian Sparrow, although his real name is more than likely Dale. And he's probably the funniest fighting game player of all time.
Where the fuck's he's at in this?
Born in South Central Los Angeles on the 19th of November, 1984, or 1990 if he's to be believed, Dale had a difficult childhood, with his father abandoning the family. While he doesn't hold that against his dad, he does resent that neither he nor his brother were given the attention necessary to become athletes.
That's why I'll never ever forgive my dad, period. Because not only did you fuck up with me, you fucked up with my brother too. My brother is like 6'6". I mean, damn, you could have coached one of us into making you some paper.
Under his mom's care, he was kept out of public school and sent to a private Christian school instead, presumably to try and keep him away from the presence of gangs in public schools in South Central Los Angeles. While he did effectively avoid that danger, he walked right into another one. When he was between 5 and 7 years old, he claimed to have been molested by his teacher's teenage daughter. Surprisingly, he describes this very casually, trying his best to imply that it wasn't all that traumatic.
Basically, there was lots of females that fondled with me when I was a kid, but I'm not the type of person that's gonna snitch. I knew something was right, and that happened in private school, man. Shit happens in private schools, but I only know about the heterosexual shit.
It's pretty shocking to see a guy spinning this kind of terrible childhood trauma into proof that he's super straight, but as we'll see later on, this kind of absurd thing is par for the course with Low Tier God. Later on in school, he was often picked on for being unusually tall and a bit of a nerd. But besides that, not much is known about his early life. While he made his first YouTube account in 2006, he remained in obscurity for a good while after, as it would take years before he attained notoriety. But long before he was getting in hot water online, he was doing so in real life. In 2005, when he would have been 20 years old, his then 17-year-old girlfriend filed a restraining order against him for domestic violence prevention. In the documents, she alleged, Dale said that I'm a slut and that he wants to kill me and everyone around me, and that if he doesn't do it, he'll have someone do it for him, and that I better watch my back. She also requested that he lose the right to purchase a gun due to his anger issues. Fortunately, it doesn't seem like anything happened after this restraining order was requested. A couple of years later, he was arrested and eventually charged with a felony for receiving stolen stolen goods, although he got off with 3 years of probation after staying in jail for a little over a month. However, this sentence made it hard for him to get a job, so he enrolled into college, where he pursued a degree in health and fitness and a bachelor's degree in business. Or, at least, that's what he listed on his LinkedIn profile, but a lot of people have been known to lie on LinkedIn, so he may or may not have those degrees. Speaking of his LinkedIn, he also claims here that, from 2006 onwards, he was working as a freelance actor and took part in numerous media, including reality TV shows, although I haven't been able to find any record of that. As far as I can tell, all that he really had to his name was his YouTube channel, then under the username Sparrow25, which foreshadowed the name of his eventual channel, DeLuey and Sparrow. Keep that name in mind. Now, on his main channel, he uploaded videos of himself playing Street Fighter games, mainly Street Fighter 4, with the main gimmick being that he picked low-tier characters that most competitive players tended to ignore and find a new way to win with them. In 2012, he also started working at Goodwill as a donation processing volunteer, presumably out of necessity, and because that's all he could really get with the felony charge on his record. But it doesn't seem like working at a charitable organization really gave him a more empathetic spirit.
While all of you are in final round, this is what I'm doing. All of you.
However, in late 2013, Dale got his first big break when he uploaded a video titled "A Message to Boogie2988 and His Wonderful Fans."
I don't give a about the aftermath from any of you Boogie fans that feel sorry for this greasy, you fat, disgusting, ass-smelling, blob, cheese-drinking, Crisco bathing, lard gargling, calorie thieving, cook on a George Foreman grill just to drink out the drip tray. I know there's gonna be a lot of people out there calling me a bully. Well, guess what? I'm not. I just don't feel sorry for fat people, especially fat who sit there all day, gorge and eat, and make money for doing absolutely nothing.
Unfortunately, Low Tier God was too ahead of his time on the Boogie hate. If he dropped this in 2020, he would probably be a millionaire right now. As you can see from the like to dislike ratio, people weren't too fond of his extremely fat-phobic rhetoric. And just like that began Dale's eternal villain arc. But however much negative feedback he got for the Boogie hate video, it wasn't really enough to kickstart his career, and for the following period, he continued to languish in obscurity. In another upload of his from the beginning of 2014, he even expressed resentment towards other YouTubers, including Boogie, who in Dale's opinion did not deserve any of the views he was getting.
I went to a couple pages. KSI is some black dude from the UK that just yells on fucking camera and plays FIFA, and this dude gets damn near 1 million views per fucking video.
Another one of his targets was fellow gamer Darkside Phil.
DSP, some old dude who talks on random games that people shouldn't even be watching. Kingdom Hearts and racing games and all kind of corny shit.
Whom has since been deemed the white version of Low Tier God, or vice versa, depending on which one you think is the original. This perception came from the fact that both of them made careers out of gaming, despite not being very good at video games, and regularly blaming the game's developers whenever they lost. Although honestly, I think he really surpassed DSP on that front, since as far as I know, no matter how much DSP sucked at the games he played, he still kept trying until he beat them fair and square, while Low Tier God became known for cheating on single-player games to beat them.
Only cheat on your mom. Better believe we was in a fake relationship so I could backshot her creamy, wet, sloppy, big baggy, meaty pussy.
But whenever anyone brought up the similarities between him and DSP, Dale became unusually angry. Well, it's not unusual for Dale to get unusually angry, but you get the point.
But I'm warning you, for the last time, any of you motherfuckers call me that black DSP shit in person, it is a wrap for you. Because as soon as I go into anger mode, my speed twitches faster, I'm stronger.
Now, I'm generally all for toxic gaming and classic Black Ops 2 lobbies with people insulting each other. However, it was clear that Dale's issues were much more deep-seated. And if you think that he's just playing it up for the sake of content, he's not. He's actually like this 100% of the time. Noticing how easy it was to get him fired up, trolls began deliberately seeking out ways to further enrage him. For example, whenever he knew he was going to lose a match, he would just leave it before it could count on his stats. So as a result, people started reporting him, which eventually got him a ban from Xbox Live. Now, I suspect that you can probably jerry-rig Xboxes to circumvent a ban and make a new account, but that's probably too complicated for him, so instead, he just bought another Xbox whenever that happened. Which, by the way, happened 4 separate times. And of course, each time, he was thoroughly dominated and humiliated by his trolls, he went to the nearest GameStop and bought himself a new Xbox. All because he's addicted to raging and fighting fighting games. By 2014, Dale had accumulated a little bit of clout in the niche of fighting games and decided to go up against Viscant in Marvel vs. Capcom 3. According to Low Tier God, they played a set, which meant they competed until one of them got to 5 wins, and Low Tier God got there first. However, Viscant insisted that they kept on playing, which eventually caused the score to go from 5-3, favoring Low Tier God, to 20-6, favoring Viscant. This caused Dale to act out as he usually does, insulting people in his videos. In one upload, titled Why Most Gamers Are Single, he uses Viscant's picture as an example of an unwashed and unattractive gamer.
You forgot to eat. You even forget to take a piss. Keeping up with those habits continuously will have you looking like this guy.
And upon discovering what he'd done, Viscant got into a little bit of drama with Dale on Twitter, during which he accused him of not playing actually low-tier characters and winning with them, which was basically his entire gimmick, before going on to call him the Black DSP. The beef was really heating up, and as a result, a grudge match on Street Fighter IV was called on October 24th, 2014, to finally settle their problems, and it grew to be a pretty large event, being fully televised and accompanied with interviewers. Initially, Viscant gave a solo interview in a crowd of cheering fans, discussing the beef between him and Low Tier God, and things got pretty heated.
That's a bitch move. He said I wouldn't call him that to his face. Wherever you are, you're a bitch.
After a little back and forth, it came time to actually play, and while Low Tier God did his best, it just wasn't good enough to clinch the win, with Viscant winning by 10-6 and proceeding to tell Dale to go back to the McDonald's he worked at, along with other positive words.
There's gonna come a point when you forget about what happened, and you're gonna want to come back at me, and you're gonna want to wash the taste of my dick out of your mouth.
The beef was over, and it should have been officially settled, but Dale wasn't going to take it lying down. A few weeks after the fight, he stirred up drama again, with a video titled Addressing the Internet, which would eventually become a series for him. In the first half, he put forth a variety of copes for his loss, claiming that Viscant had 2 people coaching him, despite Dale also having the same amount of people coaching him, and claiming that a 10-6 victory wasn't good enough for someone who plays video games professionally. Then again, Street Fighter was Low Tier God's main focus, and not a game that Viscant was even particularly familiar with, and he still won without it even getting close. If Dale was so confident, he could go play games professionally himself, but given that he refused to bet money on his performance, it's likely that this is just him blowing hot air again. The conclusion of this match went viral on YouTube, now sitting at a whopping 6 million views, along with re-uploads getting similar amounts, and a comprehensive review of the situation from YouTuber Cropecat also getting 6 million. While Dale frequently gets called the Black DSP, in some ways he's more like Wings of Redemption. He could have just taken the L and moved on with his life, but instead, he was as sore of a loser as possible and did everything in his power to make himself look bad from that point onward. And that's not even mentioning the strange complexes around race and masculinity he developed as a consequence of getting destroyed by Viscant on Street Fighter IV.
Because when the Europeans came on the ships and seen
African ass bouncing and tits jiggling like National Geographic,
tall statures, thick thighs, they was blown away. Never seen bodies like that until they landed in Africa.
You the fuck is what's wrong with society, you dumb, ignorant black? This is why black people are last in place. Because of dumb, ignorant, retarded, worthless pieces of black.
Despite how obnoxious and psychotic Dale eventually became, at the time, the only content about him was making fun of his gaming skills. Stuff like "This Is How You Don't Play" compilations, where people picked the funniest highlights of his videos and uploaded them. Unfortunately, these videos now only exist via re-uploads since, again, exactly like DSP, Dale obsessively looked for these and copyright striked them. When his copyright strategy proved unsuccessful, he threatened to start recording his streams with no mic or camera on, unless the offending channels were taken down. But of course, that was just another empty threat. A year later, a now 29-year-old Dale started dating a girl named Elena, whom he allegedly started interacting with when she was still 17. She occasionally showed up during his streams, and his treatment of her was pretty poor to say the least.
You're not putting hands on no one.
Tell me that again, dude.
What you gonna do?
Tell me what the f I'm gonna do. I'm not f***ing around.
You're not putting hands on no one.
Dude, get the f off my stream, dude. Seriously. I'm not playing.
She'll become much more important later on, but we do have to establish her as a character in the Low Tier God extended universe. Now, at some point in 2015, Dale graduated, although he continued to work at Goodwill, as his streams weren't nearly successful enough for him to do it professionally. Despite lacking a proper fan base, since a significant amount of his following was composed of his haters, he decided to start a clothing line called The Covenant in December of 2015, and it sold a grand total of one hoodie on its first day. Then in early 2016, he got banned on Xbox for the 5th and last time, so he finally switched over to PlayStation. Around this time, he was coincidentally matched against Darkside Phil in a ranked match, but since they were in Dale's territory, Street Fighter, even DSP knew that it was over from the moment it started.
Oh god. Another Relento means another match I'm gonna get effing bodied, dude. Every f***ing match with Relento I get bodied now. It never fails.
They should have competed on who can get into more debt. Would have been a much more riveting contest, but I'm kind of getting ahead of myself here. Now, I would say that Dale's Twitch was going downhill at this point, but really, his online career had failed to launch from the beginning. He got barred from getting a subscription button, allegedly due to his trolls viewbotting his streams, leading him to resort to making money in alternative ways, such as selling mod chips to his viewers. This is against Twitch TOS, and as a result, he got his second ban. And I didn't mention the first ban because the reason for it was never given. Soon after, he came back, although it would probably be better if he had just stayed gone, since he walked right into a 50-loss streak against a streamer. And that streamer was named Pun Is Here. Dale had been saying that he wanted to fight against a good Chun-Li player, and upon getting what he asked for, he floundered for an hour and a half, complaining about it the entire time.
Can't win with a fucking real character. You need a character like this, bitch.
Not satisfied, he went above and beyond sore loser status by calling on his viewers to attack Pun, leading to another Twitch ban, this time being indefinite. And from here, he finally decided to give up on Twitch and move over to YouTube, making a video about his ban, claiming he had been unfairly targeted by malicious trolls.
Everyone who watches my stream, you guys know for a fact that my stream is just crowded with trolls. People have done numerous things to see me fail.
In order to stifle the troll activity in his chat, he set up some new rules for his streams, including, but not limited to, a ban on the use of salt emojis, censoring names, especially troll names, as well as Kappa names in chat. He also demanded $10 to turn his camera on, and if he didn't get at least $20 within the first hour of his stream, he would just turn it off. Now that he had revamped his entire operation to prevent anyone from trolling his streams, he could finally be a regular streamer who didn't rage and hurl insults at people's mothers. And finally, now he could focus on the game. Of course, I'm being sarcastic here. Instead, nothing changed at all. If anything, it actually got worse from here on out. Dale challenged the Super Smash Bros. Community to a Street Fighter match, arguing that no one who plays that game could beat him because they are plebes. I think he was trying to say plebs here, short for plebeian or plebeian, but his anger mode prevented him from seeing clearly, which I'm understanding of.
Like National Geographic.
But Dale had the misfortune of having Anti, a Super Smash Bros. Player at the time, take him up on the challenge. The two matched a few days later, and Anti beat Low Tier God 2-1, followed by another game, which Anti won by 2-0. LTG took this loss pretty badly, accusing his opponent of being a coward for not doing the full best of 5 games, and for using the character Ken, which Low Tier God said was overpowered, and for playing against him at 3:40 AM when he was sleepy, thus making it unfair. But that wasn't all. Dale proceeded to go on a wild tirade, blocking anyone who even mentioned Anti, going as far as to call him racist slurs like tar roach, and saying things like, "This is why I don't deal with blacks." He made a whole video about it, and then challenged him to an anonymous match.
When you're alpha and you're dealing with betas, you're dealing with guys who want to run off on the plug. You're the type of guy who would sucker punch somebody, run, and claim you beat them up, claim you whooped their ass.
And if that wasn't enough, he was so angry that he also released a diss track.
Resembling a Zulu, page 55, geographics. You're the black guy that they would hire for demographics. Grew from streets of race 3, had it inside my temporal lobe. Skin be the same color as a bowl of Cocoa Krispies though.
If losing to every established competitive gamer he ever managed to match up against wasn't bad enough, a few months later, he randomly matched against a 14-year-old kid who, by a stroke of fate, happened to be recording his gameplay. Even though the recording is from the perspective of the kid, we can easily figure out how Low Tier God was feeling during it.
I bet he's mad. Yo, I clutched it. Oh!
This clip of a child beating him got over 500,000 views, leading Dale to seethe on his Facebook page, demanding that his fans put 200 dislikes on it or he wouldn't use his camera or mic during his streams anymore. Keep in mind, this all happened when the video only had 13,000 views, so I think this was his attempt at keeping this L undercover and not letting it get any more traction on YouTube. However, if that was the objective, it clearly failed. He also made a comment on the video, challenging the uploader to a 10-round match, which never happened. He even did a reaction video to it where he calls the 14-year-old a fat scrub who got lucky. But Dale kept trucking along, trying to improve his skills while streaming and attempting to make a living. And this leads us to December of 2016, when Dale found himself matched up against a top 8 player in Street Fighter, Lee Joe, where they would both stream their match live. Unsurprisingly, Low Tier God got rolled and smoked to the tune of a 1-4 loss. But what's really entertaining is how the two behaved during their match. While Low Tier God seethed, Joe was having the time of his life and even pulled the classic Low Tier God move of leaving the match right at the end.
Dude kept spamming a move that was +3 over and over again simply because it was lag.
As they continued to play, Dale grew increasingly angry at his own inability to stop Joe from throwing him.
You know, I'm gonna rage quit on this dude for fun. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna rage quit on this dude. You scrub.
As you can see here, he was threatening to rage quit the match long before it was even close to its final round because he knew that the inevitable was coming.
Worried about what the f***'s going on for season 2. You're not making it to top 8 Evo next year. Blow it, broad. That's sus connection. Mike muted.
I got a headache.
While things were fairly standard for him in the streaming world, 2016 was one of the lowest points in his personal life. He'd been banned from Twitch for a few months, and the loss of streaming revenue was really getting to him. That summer, he did start a new series called Critical Times, and in the first video, he reveals some of his vulnerability, opening up about his financial struggles.
I live paycheck to paycheck. I'll show you guys how much my check was later, but just know that every time I get paid, it's going to another CEO, another company, and I'm fucked for the next 2 weeks with bullshit unless I get donations on YouTube, sell some t-shirts, or, you know, shit like that. Trying to get these headshots, they cost $240, but it's hard to save up when you don't make shit.
Now, while it was obviously fun for a lot of trolls to disparage him for how he behaves during games, there were some elements of Low Tier God that were genuine, although they rarely came through. One could even empathize with him talking about struggling to get jobs, even though he had a couple of college degrees, something that a lot of young people experience. And later that year, he also expressed being sick of getting made fun of for working at Goodwill. So he quit and instead got a job as an assistant manager at GNC, a supplement company. For some reason, he also claimed that this job would help him on his way to become an actor. I'm not really sure what made him think that, but you know, who am I to say? Regardless, things seem to be looking up. Dale had just reached the 10,000 subscriber milestone on YouTube.
Motivated, determined, resilient, confident, mentally untouchable. Notice I didn't say physical because no man is. Unfortunately, our physiology limits us anything past that.
Don't get me wrong, he definitely should be happy, but making a motivational video when you just got your second job at age 33 may be going a bit overboard, but hey, I'm still happy for him.
I walk a path that was aligned for me since the beginning of time. The Creator gave me life through abundance, allowing the correct blend of souls to cross paths, but not only to make eye contact, but to share passion with one another.
Unfortunately, his satisfaction wore off very quickly as his goals of becoming an actor weren't coming to fruition, and he was frustrated with his job, saying that it had the dumbest management ever. He also claimed that he had 3 jobs, which a lot of people doubt is true. But most importantly, he was in exactly the same spot as he'd always been when it came to his career as an online personality, losing games and whining about it with creative racial epithets. Here, we have him attacking Brazilian detractors by attaching an image of Brazilian natives, saying that his mic and cam would be off during the stream due to how upset he was. His hatred for Brazilians wasn't limited to this instance either.
Mods, ban anybody speaking Portuguese. Let's get these jungle f***ers out of here. This is an English stream, motherfucker. How the f*** you gonna be from Brazil in your computer in a hut talking shit? Get the fuck out of here.
In another instance, he said that if someone beat him with Balrog, the Street Fighter character, he was going to rage quit no matter what. And due to how often he got banned for the stuff he said online, he began using the word "rog" as a derogatory term for black people, usually in the context of black people losing their temper. While his statements about black people could often be seen as exaggerated for comedic value or a consequence of blind rage during gaming, it does slowly become clear that Dale genuinely resented rogs, and perhaps had some racial self-hatred. For example, he once made a post on his Facebook page talking about how much he disliked crude blacks, and instead had a preference for what he referred to as sophisticated black people. What he probably wasn't counting on was that his own sister would see this post and reply, pointing out that she had offered him work with better pay than his job and helped him look for apartments when he needed to move, before saying that he was responsible for his own life circumstances, mentioning that he ruined his own credit score. In his reply, he said, "You're dead to me. See how messy you are? Focus on getting the GED before you address me again. Before I blast your black, bitter, chicken-headed ass in this post." She then fired back, saying that she made more money than him in tips, and claimed that he'd gotten his degrees while he was living off of a girl he was dating, who eventually put him in jail. In the middle of all of this, Dale once again changed his streaming rules and started charging $20 to turn the camera on, as well as $50 to stream for over an hour. If anyone made the mistake of expressing disapproval of anything he did or said during the stream, he would just ban them, regardless of whether they were a troll or someone who had previously donated and helped him out. 2017 is when Dale began rapidly accelerating his descent into madness, which was punctuated by his beef with fellow Street Fighter player Broly Legs. Broly was known for suffering from a medical condition which caused the muscles in his arms and legs to be severely underdeveloped. As a consequence, he played Street Fighter using only his mouth. But despite his obvious physical setbacks, from 2013 to 2017, he was the #1 Chun-Li player in the world. He even placed 25th in a Street Fighter V tournament with over 1,400 players. His popularity in the Street Fighter community was such that he got a promotional video on the official Street Fighter YouTube channel where he got to tell his life story.
It has its bumps here and there, but it's not unwelcoming at all. You know, there's always a small place for everyone in the community. Whatever game you learn. When I started learning Street Fighter, I learned through people telling me I was nothing, that I would never be good in this game. This and that. It really drove me. Yeah, they were my friends, but I needed that to encourage me to be better.
And as with many unsuspecting players, he would eventually collide with Dale, and the result was funny and sad at the same time. Sometime in April, he and Low Tier God randomly matched, and in typical Low Tier God fashion, he lost the match and rage quit, all while throwing as many insults at Broly as possible. Before their match even started, he compared Broly to Krang, which is a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles character that is an anthropomorphic brain in a mecha suit, obviously making fun of his disability. But naturally, Dale making fun of his disability made it that much more satisfying when the match came to its end.
I'm good, dude. I can't accept losses where I bodied you and you just get some fake shit on slobbering all over rollers and shit. I'm hella cool. You just didn't deserve that. I outplayed you, I bodied you, and you got lucky. That's not skill to me. That's not outplaying me. That doesn't mean you're better than me. I'll tell you what the lure is. Yeah, get that ass banned, bitch.
And while some people quickly rushed to Broly's defense, pointing out how low it was for Low Tier God to make fun of him for his disability, others maintained that the confrontation was fair. They felt that while Broly was physically handicapped, Low Tier God was mentally handicapped. Therefore, the odds weren't that bad. Broly tweeted out a screenshot of Low Tier God rage quitting, and at the same time also offered to help train him to get better at Street Fighter, which only helped to further enrage him.
I don't give a what that ugly ass slobbering half of a man is saying. I'm not gonna do anything to give that ugly, worthless specimen anything to gain any type of notoriety to his pity name.
It's funny that he's saying this when Broly Legs had much more success as a competitive player than Dale ever did. And unfortunately in 2024, Broly did pass away, but we should never forget how we beat Low Tier God. Now Dale eventually wanted to clarify what happened, so he made a video explaining that he only felt comfortable laying into Broly because of what Broly had posted on Twitter. However, that's not really true, as Low Tier God was calling him Krang even before their match began, so this is just another excuse. Given how brazen he is during streams, I wish he would just embrace it instead of coming up with these fake apologies afterwards. It's not like anyone's falling for it anyway. He might as well just stick to being a dick. Now at this point, there was actually a period of time where Dale mostly kept himself out of trouble, mixing up his content and slightly moving away from the straightforward gameplay he was known for. For example, he did a reaction and commentary on the song Lift Yourself by Kanye West, which quickly became the most successful video on his channel. In 2018, he was then invited to take part in E-League The Challenger, which was a TV show where Street Fighter pros would compete against one another while living in the same house. He was the first to fight in the tournament against Rob TV, but despite talking himself up like he usually does, he lost the match 5-1. Now you may be inclined to think that this was another L for LTG, but in reality, this could be considered the first W in his competitive gaming career. Not because he won the game itself, but instead because he took the loss in stride.
He just gets up, and I don't see him talking smack. He's not raging. He's just a regular guy.
Low Tier God, nice try. However, that does put you out of the competition here at the Challenger House. Rob TV, you were safe Another day, sir.
He also competed against another player named Giddy, and despite losing, the match ended on a pretty positive note, with the two not only shaking hands, but also hugging it out. However much people already hated him, Low Tier God is an entertaining guy. If he could just control his outbursts and try to get better at the game, instead of rage quitting whenever he found someone better than him, he actually would have a shot at becoming a competitive player and successful online personality.
Now it sucks being the first one to be eliminated, but I'm still in the house with 6 other phenomenal players that I can learn a lot from and just level up my game overall.
Unfortunately, the period of peace didn't last for long, as Dale pretty quickly went right back to his old ways.
Going forward in my Street Fighter career, my plan is simply to attend more tournaments. As long as I continue to travel, experience things, I think that I have a huge definite shot of being that ultimate great Street Fighter player that I yearn to be.
In June of 2018, for reasons beyond human understanding, Twitch decided to express some mercy and actually unban Dale, and he triumphantly returned for one single day. Now I have to admit that this time the ban wasn't his fault. He had naively allowed donators' profile pictures to show up on the stream, and one creative guy made their profile picture a nude image and then donated to get themselves on the screen before proceeding to report the stream themselves for nudity, even though they had been the one to make it happen. Now Dale did eventually get his account back, but his standing on the website was iffy at best, as he was banned and unbanned a bunch of times. But at this point, something else was brewing in the Low Tier God fandom: speculation around his relationship. One day, Dale abruptly left his own stream for a moment, and he forgot to mute himself, which then allowed his entire audience to hear him arguing with his girlfriend, Elena. She was upset that Dale wouldn't be around during their 4-year anniversary, because he was going to attend that year's EVO.
It's not about forgetting. Usually EVO is in July. The only reason you've been bringing up that shit is for the simple fact that I'm going to goddamn EVO. I don't know why you would do this a day before. You're fucking inconsiderate ass fucking child.
Their relationship ended right around the same time, but it's worth noting here that 2018 was when their 4-year anniversary was going to take place, meaning they had apparently been together since 2014, a fact that's going to become relevant in a second here. In June of 2019, a YouTube channel by the name of LX Sniper released an expose about LTG, covering a lot of the things that I've mentioned up until this point. Low Tier God actually responded to Sniper on stream, during which he showed a photo of him and exposed their DMs, where he threatened to beat LX up if they ever met in real life. Surprisingly, LX actually accepted the challenge, giving away his address so Dale could fight him, but nothing really came of it. There were many similar instances of Low Tier God instigating fights he wasn't actually willing to carry out, such as when his former mod, Donovan, got mad at him for refusing to unmod someone who called him the N-word.
I won't just sit there and allow you to talk shit like that and not want to fight you or not want some type of physical confrontation. So I'm going to give you the opportunity to put your money where your mouth is, okay?
When Donovan challenged Dale to a boxing match, he never got a reply. But the drama wasn't just coming from the inside of Dale's community. Instead, outsiders were now paying attention to the story, which led June the King to take notice. June is a video essay or internet documentary channel kinda similar to what I do, and he had taken notice of Low Tier God, leading him to post a video about his life and story. Dale was not very happy with this video's existence, accusing June of re-uploading his content, which June just did not do. He actually made an informative documentary about him, which used a few clips of him. But Low Tier God didn't really care. He actually threatened to flag June. This basically caused a copyright battle to happen, culminating in Low Tier God threatening to sue June the King for his video, which he claimed was defamatory and included doxed information. This was pretty strange since June never even referred to Low Tier God by his real name. Instead, he called him by his online alias, Deluian Sparrow. But what he did include was Low Tier God's real date of birth, something that Dale had a history of being very insecure about. In fact, his campaign of pretending to be younger than he actually was even affected some of the biographical data websites, which list him as being born in 1990, which does not seem to be the case. But Low Tier God didn't just retaliate against June in defense. He also went on the offense by doxing June the King himself repeatedly over the course of 1 month, only stopping once Killer Keemstar stepped in.
So basically, Keemstar was just like popping in there to be like, hey, you know, like, we're watching you, dude. So thank you, Keemstar, for stopping my doxing.
But even after that, he continued to regularly threaten June with all kinds of violence.
Somebody like him would run from me in person, and he wouldn't be able to run from me because I would catch his pipsqueak ass, choke him out till he begged me for life. Then right on his last inch of breath, I would literally say, so you still gonna research me, huh? He's like, no, then LTD, please, no, and I'm just still choking him while he got his laptop, while he deletes the video. We're gonna get that shit taken down, I'm not worried about it.
Ultimately, he failed in his mission of taking the video down, and no lawsuit ever came out of it. And as funny as a lawsuit like that would have been for Dale to have to just argue against June for things that he showed in his video to be true, ultimately it's probably for the best that another documentary channel didn't get a lawsuit against it. But Low Tier God was now more defeated than ever, and he really needed to take out his rage on something, anything. So in April of 2020, someone in the chat triggered him into producing one of his most iconic outbursts ever.
Your life literally is as valuable as a summer ant. I'm just gonna stump you. You're gonna keep coming back. I'm gonna seal up all my cracks. You're gonna keep coming back. Why? Because you keep smelling the syrup. You're gonna stay on my until you die. You serve no purpose in life. Your purpose in life is to be in my stream sucking on my daily. Your purpose in life is to be in that chat blowing it daily. Your life is nothing. You serve zero purpose. You should yourself now and give somebody else a piece of that oxygen and ozone layer that's covered up so that we can breathe inside this boom trap bubble. Because what are you here for? To worship me?
In just under 1 minute, Low Tier God went from a failed streamer and competitive Street Fighter player to being a total meme.
That's all I gotta do. You look in the mirror and hate yourself. Love yourself. Yeah, you should love yourself now. Yeah. You should try this stuff first. But listen, how about when love yourself. That's all I gotta say. Look at the mirror, hate yourself. Love yourself. Yes, you should love yourself now.
This video is probably why you know about Low Tier God. It has been seen by everyone on the internet in one way, shape, or form, whether or not you even know who he is. A moment of him expressing sincere hatred and disgust with a chatter who had been annoying him ultimately led to the most viral moment of him ever. But that didn't mean that Dale was going to stop and smell the roses. Instead, he got matched against a player called Zero Blast, and as soon as he started losing, you can probably guess what happened.
That's exactly why I got this dude blacklisted. He ain't trans, he didn't get his slit, he ain't got the balls for that. If you're a real tranny, a real transsexual, cross-dresser, whatever the you want to call it, get your slit. How you gonna go 50%? If you really about that life, get your split like a hot dog, let them tuck it in, make a pussy and a clitoris out of your dick.
Now obviously, Sero took issue with this, tweeting out about how they thought Low Tier God was a bad influence on his chatters. To be honest, I think the real issue is anyone who's allowing their kids to watch Low Tier God streams, given how he often responds to trolls by doing something that I can only describe as gay erotica rants.
I'm gonna pull out a big giant syringe full of black sperm and shoot all the black sperm.
And in the wake of Low Tier God's comments about Sero, he was permanently banned from Evo. Now this is kind of a side note, but not only was Sero also banned from Evo over using slurs, but the aforementioned Giddy was also banned for multiple instances of sexual misconduct, including soliciting unwarranted lesbian orgies. The Low Tier God curse appears to be at work.
You are a worthless bitch-ass nigga.
Before the year ended, yet another clip from Low Tier God streams went viral, now sitting at well over 1 million views.
What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna flop my BBC out on the table. When your mom invites me over for dinner, I'm gonna be like, now suck it in front of your son. She's like, I'm sorry, I just can't help it. It's so flavorful.
Now that he had been deprived of one of the few joys left in his life, Low Tier God went right back to harassing June the King, which June then posted. Just so you know, I'm coming for you legally. Because of your documentary, it has caused people to be dialed into my life beyond levels you could ever fathom. I warned you when the video dropped, you were doing too much. Your video has caused endless harassment on personal levels, and I'm coming for you legally. Just know that. Whatever you made off me, I'm taking from you. I will be the one that does not allow you to profit off others at your cowardly leisure. You are a talentless, faceless worm. Now, that promise of a lawsuit continued to be an empty threat, but Dale did file a trademark for the Low Tier God brand in January of 2021, which unfortunately exposed his real name, which is kind of a backfire since he wanted to keep it a secret. While he failed to take down June the King's documentary, he did succeed in striking 3 people who uploaded videos that were critical of him, as well as re-uploads of his stream's highlights. All 3 of those people went on to be interviewed by June in his follow-up video, where it was revealed that Low Tier God had actually doxed their real names and locations.
This is what a troll's house looks like.
By this point, people were becoming aware of how insane Low Tier God was. While June's follow-up didn't get as many views as his first video, it still got well over 1 million and introduced hundreds of thousands of people to how insane Low Tier God was if you got on his radar. However, the most scathing part of it all was the information revealed about his ex-girlfriend, Elena. It seemed like they were on good terms since the breakup, even having her take part in her content every once in a while. In a mukbang the 2 did together, he continued to talk about her very positively, saying she's beautiful, among a lot of other compliments, which a lot of people took to mean that she was the one who broke up with him, and he still wanted them to be together. But his tone changed radically in November 2020, when rumors began spreading that Elena had begun seeing her personal trainer, known as Mr. HBC. When these rumors were confirmed, Dale proceeded to private his main Twitter account and seethed on his alt about the 2 of them being together, calling her new man an old head. Despite him repeatedly claiming not to care, he continued to occasionally maul about their relationship for the next 2 months.
Everything after me is a complete downgrade in the first place. It's been a pattern in my life, and it's going to continuously be the pattern. The only way you can upgrade after me is you got to get yourself a ball player, somebody from the NFL, you know, some professional something, an actor, something.
Eventually, someone sent images of Elena and Mr. HBC boarding a private plane, which Low Tier God shot down by saying that's what fake rich people do to flex on social media, and that anyone could do that if they really wanted to. But the flight that Elena and HBC were boarding apparently cost 15 grand, and I don't think that just anyone could do that. Could be wrong, but I don't think so. Now, Dale obviously could have just chosen to not acknowledge the trolls who were messing with him. He could have just ignored all of this, but obviously he is Low Tier God, so he's not going to, and as a result, the couple noticed what he was saying and decided to respond to him, calling him an obsessed weirdo with nothing better to do.
And don't worry, one day we'll address that weirdo ass.
Oh! Should we address it now? Huh? No, I might make a video on that, but we'll see.
In the same video, Elena also said that both HBC and Dale are the same age, and HBC was born in 1984, further reinforcing that Low Tier God was older than he claimed to be. But if these controversies weren't enough, in May of 2021, he once again found himself in hot water, this time for laughing while watching an infamous shock video where a man brutally takes his own life. Now, you can probably see how this upset some people, while others fell on the side of, well, it's just a shock video, and he probably didn't expect what was coming. It's not like he's encouraging that kind of behavior, he's just laughing at a crazy video. But Dale felt the need to respond, and to excuse it, he said that he shouldn't be expected to show remorse, and trolls don't show remorse for doxing him 24/7.
Get mad because I didn't show remorse, but people don't show remorse when they keep doxing me 24/7, stealing from me 24/7. Try to pry into my personal life 24/7, antagonizing me 24/7, stalking me 24/7, stealing from me 24/7. We're just gonna keep it at that.
He then said that because he never showed the video he was watching, he could have been laughing at anything else, like an episode of Tom and Jerry.
All I did was listen to audio and laugh. I could have been listening to everything. I could have been laughing at Tom and Jerry.
Proceeding to claim that that's what he is actually laughing at. Now, I won't play the original video of Dale reacting here, since you can hear the video sound, but I think it's pretty clear that that is what he was laughing at. At this point, he would probably be better off just admitting that he laughed at the video, rather than continually denying it. Around the same time, another clip of him also went viral, this time consisting of him responding to someone who said he looked like he worked at Pizza Hut, with Low Tier God, at a moment's notice, going on to write sexual fanfiction of himself with the chat member's mother.
That's all I can really do, and I submit, and I just bust infinite hot loads of matrix juice right down her mother.
This drama haunted him for months, with a back and forth between him and a creator going by Demigod Production, who had heavily criticized him on his channel. He eventually even challenged him to a boxing match, which ultimately backfired as every previous instance of Low Tier God backing out of a fight came to light.
Can you afford 10 racks to put up the fight? I'll put up 10 racks tomorrow.
Bouncing as they run across the golden field of wheat.
When Demigod streamed, Low Tier God started flaming him in the chat, but repeatedly refused to get on a Discord call with him to hash it out.
Nah, let's talk about it, Dale. Let's get on Discord and talk. How come you won't fight LX Dark Sniper?
The heat got so bad that Low Tier God privated his Twitter during the incident, and the idea of a fight was never brought up again. While this was mostly a battle between equals, the next person who found themselves on Low Tier God's path of destruction was a girl called Rotkill, who he attacked by posting nudes of her to his Twitter and Discord. She responded, calling him creepy and disgusting for doing what he did, and pointing out that she was 18 years old when the pictures were taken. She eventually created a GoFundMe to sue him for revenge pictures, which I assume means she sent him those pictures voluntarily at some point, but never consented to them being made public. But it's not totally clear to me what the circumstances are, as the information is pretty limited, and ultimately the lawsuit never came to be, as Rotkill vanished from all social media, while Low Tier God continued to do his usual shtick, which included dancing while streaming at work. While 2021 ended with Dale sealing up the cracks, 2022 began with them coming back, because they smelled the syrup. A YouTube account uploaded a video claiming to have evidence that Low Tier God and Elena started dating when he was 29 and she was 17. To prove it, he went back to the clip of Low Tier God unknowingly having his mic unmuted while they argued, where they both acknowledged that their anniversary is coming up. Based on an Instagram post, she had just celebrated her 25th birthday, meaning she would have been 21 in 2018, and as a result, 17 when they started dating. There were already hundreds, if not thousands, of people actively looking for dirt, but this one YouTube account was the first major instance of Low Tier God being accused of grooming or some kind of behavior with a girl that was too young for him. And it really got the attention of the rest of his detractor community, who started investigating his past. They managed to find more evidence reinforcing the narrative that he was already dating her, such as them talking about going to the movies together and ditching school to see each other. By the way, during the same stream where they talk about this, there's also this very interesting conversation.
Toilet paper spreads equal.
Actually, not even toilet paper spreads equal, because when you shoot the thing and all you poop sweat in the bathtub, I've seen it before.
Well, actually, I use toilet paper to test the ass first.
I've
You never
seen
seen
it.
shit in the shower.
And then he has like the shower curtain on the inside of the shower, and you can smell it.
Now, Elena specified that their anniversary was for the day that they met, not for the day they started dating. But a lot of people had a few issues with this narrative. First off, they pointed out that who calls celebrating the day they met their anniversary? Surely there are people who do that, but anniversary is typically used as a celebration of when the relationship began. Secondly, there are only 2 jump cuts in this entire video, and one of them is conspicuously right after she mentions this, which to a lot of people looked very weird. They thought maybe something was cut out. And lastly, this mukbang video was recorded when the two were still getting along, which led a lot of people to speculate that Elena had some motivation to protect him from being seen as a bad guy. However, since they're falling out, Elena shared a post on her Instagram talking about how men who tell young women they're mature only do so because women their age see the nice bums. She even subtitled it with the phrase, "Wish I knew this earlier." Now, I do have to say that as far as I can tell, she never explicitly claimed that Dale did anything wrong here, so this is really pure speculation based on the available clues that people are looking into. However unconfirmed these claims are, Low Tier God definitely does have a history of saying some very suspect things.
They said she's 16? Nah, it don't matter. She don't look 16, bro. And plus, no jumper posted it. So, we have something here. I want to show the glute game. I want to see what the glute game looks like. They said she's 16. Literally at the gym, I wouldn't look at it like she's 16.
Over the next couple of minutes, he proceeds to make very suggestive comments about the girl in question. And this isn't the only instance of Dale being like this. He's also defended none other than the certified lover boy himself.
What I think Drake is doing, right? What he's doing is going around women, young women, or young girls that are going involved into women at a certain point in time in their life. Drake has got tired of adult women who are ran through. Promiscuous adult women, I would like to say. Drake has fornicated, has sex, whatever you guys would like to call it, with numerous women. When does it give when you run into tarnished over and over and over and over again? To the point where it intrigues you, where you groom something that's a little younger, you coach, you develop a woman into your liking without engaging in any type of sexual contact, but sort of mentally grooming that woman who's untouched and untainted into the world. You ever just took a dirty penny, tossed it away, and you see a shiny penny, you want to keep it and you want to save it? That's how Drake feels about women that are tarnished. Most women that you run into are going to be tarnished pennies. It is very rare to see in general a penny that is brand new. Most pennies you see are very ugly, disgusting, sitting on the floor, you kick them. Drake got tired of dealing with tarnished pennies, tossed them away, said, you know what, I want that one shiny, brand new penny, and I'm going to keep that in my pocket for 4+ years if I have to. And then when that penny is at its prime age or prime date, I'm going to take that penny and cherish it. Now, if you did not understand that, I feel sorry for your brain. I feel sorry for your IQ. I feel sorry for your brain.
and I'm thinking outside the box mentality. Again, I can't blame you because 95% of humans on the planet Earth do not think outside the box, which is why you're labeled weird for something as simple as using extraterrestrial weapons.
He sounds pretty familiar with the concept, I'll give him that. He's like a story. In March, a kawaii edit of his infamous speech was uploaded, which now sits at almost 3.5 million views and is just really funny. But it's also yet another example of how much the Low Tier God brand had improved in visibility. He was actually building a lot of momentum. Unfortunately, after months of enjoying the increased popularity he'd gotten, in December of 2022, he was banned from YouTube because he streamed on his second channel while his main channel had a strike, which is against the terms of service. He was apparently unaware of this rule and tried to get his channel back, and while that didn't happen, he did retweet all of the supportive comments from people who were pushing for him to be freed. During the campaign, someone even hacked British news presenter Piers Morgan's Twitter account and said, "Shout out my boy Low Tier God, also known as Ken. He turned 38 last month. I hope you get your channel back, bro, so you can go back to begging kids for money." The hacker also brought up a few embarrassing clips of his, such as the one where he talks about urinating in bottles.
Sorry, but I'm still pissing in bottles, guys. Since you're obsessed with me urinating in bottles, yes, to answer your question, yes, I still piss in bottles.
Apparently, he does this because he dislikes how much the liquid splashes around when you do it into a toilet. I don't really know why this is the solution, but you know what? Each their own. Now, since we're on the topic of his Twitter, it's only fair that I show you a couple of his bangers, such as his reaction to Zendaya, someone he's been known to simp for, being with Tom Holland, which he called a bad genetic match. And another highlight, he replied to a woman who said that most men are bad in bed, to which he said, a lot of women's box is foul, so we aren't even turned on enough to care. Fact checked and verified by true American patriots. Regardless of how much traction he got on Twitter, it didn't seem like his YouTube ban would go away anytime soon, prompting him to make an account on a website called Trovo. In the process of switching over to the platform, he also renamed all of his alt accounts on YouTube to his clothing brand's name so they would stay unbanned if he ever wanted to come back. For the time being, Dale was officially committed to Trovo streaming, where he eventually got about 2,000 followers, while at the same time trying to ban evade on YouTube from repurposing old accounts to pretending to be an AI program with no camera. But ultimately, nothing worked, and despite his best efforts, he never succeeded in returning. After a short while, he stopped streaming on Trovo and announced he'd be moving over to Kick. He also made an account on Rumble and started uploading videos again. And just as it started looking like Low Tier God was going to be permanently relegated to alt-tech websites getting little to no views, in March of 2023, his Twitch channel was suddenly and ceremoniously unbanned.
Through it all with proper planning, placement, and the correct space and time, here I stand. Mistakes made. Battles fought.
And at the same time, in the sphere of mainstream content creators, something interesting was happening. Corey X Kenshin and Jadeon, two very big YouTubers, made videos calling out what they perceived to be issues with injustice on their respective platforms, whether it be unfair bans or demonetizations, or even what Corey perceived to be racism from YouTube. Low Tier God chimed in and basically said that they were in too good of a position to be complaining about anything.
I really don't understand why a guy like Jadeon, that is very popular, that has a huge fan base, verified on multiple platforms, gets millions of views per video, and then he has a side clip channel video and endorsements, and can still stream on YouTube, has a problem with getting banned on Twitch. I want you to sub to my premium channel, and I'm upset because Twitch still didn't ban me after I got cool with Pokimane.
And as a result, he managed to get noticed by Kai Cenat, who watched his stream, and the results were pretty interesting.
Quote unquote, whatever, like Kai Cenat probably wouldn't get blown on the front page of Twitch. Can anybody in here guess why? I don't care how lit he is. Can anybody guess why? That they wouldn't run behind
Why?
Kai Cenat to put him on the front page or acknowledge him or anything like that?
Why?
It's bad marketing. When you go in the stream, the N-word is said 1,000,000 freaking times.
Okay.
Now, there were a few schools of thought on this. A lot of Kai's fans obviously agreed with him and said that he was in the right and Low Tier God was wrong. But on the other hand, interestingly, some of Low Tier God's detractors in the comments noted how Kai, to them, immediately proved his point by reacting in the way he did. Right around the same time that the drama was happening, another clip from Low Tier God streams also went viral. And although the original unedited version came out at this time, a new edit of it that came out a few months later became much, much bigger.
Mods, crush the skull, thank you.
As Deluian Sparrow was peaking in mainstream attention, Corey, who used to be a supporter of Low Tier Gods, did a complete 180, claiming to have just found out about his past controversies.
I thought he was a funny streamer until some people warned me of his past.
What do you think?
Ever since, I haven't had any correspondence with this man. Y'all wildin'. My guy, Corey Kenshin, what is wrong with you?
Fast forward to March of 2023, and with this heightened visibility and all of these large content creators talking about him, a big opportunity was on the horizon. Jidion decided to interview Low Tier God.
Why are you the way you are?
You mean why was I the way I was?
No, you're still that way.
What gave you that depiction?
I mean, some of those clips look pretty recent. They didn't seem that far away.
Now, probably because he knew how big of an audience Jidion had, Mr. Sparrow behaved himself a lot better than usual. One example is when the controversy surrounding him laughing at a man taking his own life was brought up. Instead of making jokes about Tom and Jerry, he opted to explain that he processed the situation by laughing.
But why laugh? Why laugh?
That's the way I processed it. I processed it because he got a call with a woman that didn't want to be with him anymore, so he said fuck it and blew his dome off. So for me, the only way I could process it was to laugh. I couldn't console and feel sad for a guy that ended his life over a female.
And despite how antagonistic Jidion was towards him, the comment section was actually widely positive, referring to Jidion's defense of Kai Cenat as blind D writing and hailing Low Tier God as the reasonable side of the argument. From there, in September, he also got an interview with No Jumper, which was much less hostile than the one with Jidion. They even got personal, and for the first time ever, Low Tier God willingly showed some degree of vulnerability when he discussed his own struggle with severe adult content addiction, admitting to at one point apparently jerking off 9 times in one day.
Now there's nothing that could get you to the point of having to beat off?
Maybe like, I'm trying to think if I could just think of something, like maybe sleep. Like if I just really needed sleep and I just couldn't get there no other way.
Unfortunately, this transparency and humanity was much less consistent when they started going over his online history, as Low Tier God frequently downplayed his controversies to make them seem more acceptable. But regardless of that, because of the interview with Jidion and No Jumper, along with his Twitch being unbanned, Low Tier God was getting hundreds, if not thousands of new viewers who didn't know about the lore or didn't care because they found him entertaining. While he did also get a whole new crowd of detractors, he had so many new supporters that it didn't really matter, including a fellow Twitch streamer by the name of Rose. The two had met at TwitchCon, and ever since then, they got friendly with each other to the point that he was dedicating songs to her and serenading her on his stream. He also managed to convince her that he was born in 1990, leading her to defend him on stream and claim that she personally saw evidence he wasn't in his 30s.
I know his actual age. He's not 39. Okay. Like I said, all the rumors I've heard, like I said, me being groomed, him abusing me, all these things, we were secretly dating. He's 4 years old. I've seen everything, like the real deal. Okay, I've seen proof. The dude is not. He's far from 40.
Despite how intensely his detractors hated him and spread the word about his past misdeeds, it wasn't enough to stop his resurgence, as clip after clip of his streams went viral. Despite everything that happened, he somehow managed to resist the incessant barrage of hate he got, and after years of persistence, he was finally getting results, which culminated in early 2024 when he was invited to be at the Streamer Awards.
Brought to you by Junk Food Arcades is Low Tier God.
Why do I hear boos? I hear a lot of boos. All right, let's step up the cheers. All right, this is a big surprise. Let's get it. Let's get it.
The audience at the awards, as well as the people watching online, were equally confused as to how this happened. A guy who is as controversial as him, with as many allegations as him, somehow managed to get within the Twitch aristocracy at the biggest yearly event for streamers in the entire year. The same guy who said what he said about Broly Legs is somehow in the same room as Hassan Piker and Pokemon. Honestly, the more I think about it, that actually makes perfect sense. And while people did try to talk about what a travesty they thought it was for this to have happened, ultimately they were violently ratioed by Low Tier God, calling him a punk. But just because he was successful in keeping himself unbanned on Twitch and occasionally getting mainstream recognition didn't mean that his detractors would rest. In March, a YouTuber called Covenant Balrog interviewed someone who claimed to be Low Tier God's former roommate. Among other less important pieces of info, he claimed that Low Tier God owed him $600. On its own, this didn't do much, as when it made its way to the man himself,
Anybody that I was roommating with would have had to been way before I started getting money like that. So
They're most likely a broke, worthless ass nigga.
However, this did set the entire detractor community on a new quest, finding out if Low-Tier God's claims of being financially well off were true or not. First, someone who had been doxxed by Dale decided to repay the favor and go to the actual apartment complex where Low-Tier God apparently lived, only to find out that the apartments were state-managed low-income housing, meaning he couldn't possibly live there if he made over 50 grand a year. Then, they found his credit report, and according to that, he was 120 grand in debt with a credit score of 660. For context, 700 is considered the bare minimum for a good score. And his debt was composed of many different things. $66,000 of his debt was paying off a car loan for a 2015 Dodge Charger with a vanity plate of his fake name. While the rest of the debt was nothing to really write home about, people did find it entertaining to find out that after all these years, Low-Tier God was indeed the Black DSP, over $100,000 in debt and all. But just as it seemed that the financial info dump was over, the trolls dug up something shocking. In August of 2023, Low-Tier God had opened an account in the Department of Child Support. This discovery single-handedly unraveled years of secrecy, as a leak of court documents showed that not only did he have a daughter, but also a 10-year-old daughter. He had a kid all the way back in the early 2010s, and somehow, despite finding out everything else about him in the meantime, he managed to keep that out of the public eye. The genie was officially out of the bottle. Eventually, Low-Tier God would address this, claiming that his debt wasn't actually debt.
Anytime you purchase something, it's gonna go on your TRW as quote-unquote debt, but it's not actual debt. It's just something that you just simply haven't paid off yet that you're making payments on.
That's not really what that means. You're still in debt if you're paying off a car loan, but regardless, this was his final word on the matter. As for his hypothetical daughter, he simply left it at saying that he was no one's dad.
I got 2 cats, if you want to count that. That's cool. I'm nobody's father. I promise you that.
Ever since, this has been a pretty sensitive topic for him, as he's banned anyone who even came close to discussing it. For example, when someone posted a video of a 10-year-old who was believed to be his daughter on his Discord server, he got rid of it instantly. It didn't seem like the drama really affected him too much though, as he was comfortable enough to even get freaky on main.
Listen, I don't consider that a diss because I would love for a sexy-ass woman to give me some lemonade. So I don't really consider that a diss. You know what I'm saying? There ain't nothing wrong with a little fetish. You know what I'm saying? What's wrong with that? Yeah, what's wrong with the woman's golden Eve nectar?
But as the various claims about Dale got bigger and bigger, it eventually got the attention of someone unexpected, his baby mama, or at least someone claiming to be his baby mama. A number of comments left by a user gave context to the story of Low-Tier God's child, claiming that a picture of him holding a baby that was making the rounds wasn't of him and his daughter, as according to her, he had never even met his own child, and denied her existence altogether. Naturally, this piqued the attention of another Low-Tier God hater, who interviewed this person.
I loathe every stream that he's done where he speaks about children and, oh, I'm not trying to get emotional. And when he speaks on women.
If her claims are to be trusted, she met Dale at a small party, and he slid into her DMs after she posted something about gaming. After that, they had a casual relationship that lasted about half a year, which came to a screeching halt when she got pregnant. While she refused to confirm whether or not he asked her to get an abortion, she did say that he refused to sign his daughter's birth certificate. Interestingly, when she served him papers in 2023, he signed them without a hassle, and he apparently didn't even ask for a DNA test, meaning he was well aware that the child was his.
Has it already been confirmed his age? Like,
yes.
Okay. Well, I don't want to say. That's also going to tell my age too. But I mean, I don't care.
You don't have to tell your age.
I wasn't a teenager. I can tell you that.
Okay.
I was not a teenager.
But with all of that said, with all of the controversies, with all of the insane clips, where does that leave us? As of today, Low-Tier God is still streaming on Twitch, and despite all these issues, he's more successful today than he's ever been. He's been steadily growing on Twitch for over a year, his TikTok has 200,000 followers, and he even collabed with Deji, or as I know him, Comedy Shorts Gamer, in a Tekken video in June of this year, further solidifying his foothold in mainstream gaming. However, many of his original followers have become dissatisfied with the direction of his content, claiming he's become too PG in fear of getting banned.
Guys, love yourself. That's all I gotta say. If you look in the mirror and hate yourself, love yourself. Yes, you should love yourself now. Yes, you should. Because I do.
Ultimately, it's hard to blame him since he's been banned so many times. I will say though, because of the change in spirit, a lot of people have been missing the old, lightning-eyed low-tier god that would verbally dismantle the soul of people in his chat over anything and everything. The only question from here is, can low-tier god maintain good behavior, or is he bound to remain forever trapped in his extremely toxic and self-defeating mindset? Ultimately, only time will tell. But until that happens, I've been Turkey Tom. Thank you very much for watching the entire story of low-tier god, and until next time, leave me alone. President Theodore Roosevelt once said, "The only man who never makes mistakes is the man who never does anything." If that's truly the case, then what are we to make of a man who will never admit to his mistakes? Enter Pirate Software.
No, my dad didn't inspire the WoW guy from Southwark. My dad
is the WoW guy from Southwark.
In 2023, you could barely even use YouTube without the algorithm serving you a video of this guy. Jason Hall successfully made himself the face of coding-savvy gamer culture. Just 3 years later, his reputation is in the gutter.
I'm ruined. I have nothing left except
anthropomorphic animals.
It all started with his streams playing hardcore World of Warcraft, where he abandoned his teammates and then lied about it.
That's a mistake on them, and I'm not going to get blamed for that.
On the surface, this itself seems so petty that no one should even care. But then came his opposition to the Stop Killing Games initiative, which ended with most of his audience turning against him, as he argued in favor of massive, greedy, anti-consumer corporations. But it's not these blunders themselves that cost Jason everything. It's his inability to ever accept when he's in the wrong.
So I want you to listen to this phrase. This gets misconstrued as arrogance, but in reality, it's this. That is the most arrogant statement on the planet, bro.
I don't see it that way, but all right.
His arrogance attracted the attention of the most dedicated breed of haters, people willing to spend all of their free time scavenging through his entire life. It didn't take long until a lot of other interesting things came up in their research. During his time playing Second Life, he had a reputation for taking advantage of people who worked with him without paying them for their work. In EVE Online, he was hated for being an arrogant, pathological liar. At Blizzard, he was described as an insufferable nepo baby whose employment hinged on the fact that his father was somewhat of a legend at the company.
I did that for Blizzard.
Jason would simply join a community, destroy any goodwill he held within it, and then hop along to the next one. But people only realized just how bad his paper trail was once he became an internet celebrity.
We're gonna take you to court. You're going to lose.
By the second half of 2025, his viewership had dwindled to a fraction of what it once was. But many people believed that from the shadows, he would finally learn his lesson and change as a person. They were wrong.
We got a screenshot of that, sent it up to them. Guy never got banned.
But the way that Pirate was framing this situation wasn't entirely, it wasn't truthful.
They've also been downvoting all the videos because they just don't like me. I don't care.
A game developer who supposedly has 20 years of experience, who hosts game jams for a dwindling audience to maintain engagement. A man who, against all odds, continues to stick his beak into places he shouldn't, misrepresenting reality and once again awakening the horde. A lot has happened since my first video, and today I'll be covering everything. Last time I talked about Pirate Software, I covered how Stop Killing Games was succeeding while Jason's career floundered in epic proportions. And to be honest, not much has changed on that end. For a brief recap, Ross from the channel Accursed Farms spent years trying to call out the industry practice of discontinuing online games once they were no longer popular, meaning that players who paid for a product would suddenly lose their access to it because the company doesn't want to keep paying for its servers. With one of the best examples being Ubisoft's The Crew. 9 years after launch, it was made completely unplayable for everyone who bought it. It was literally disappearing from people's game libraries as if they never even had it. Obviously, a company shouldn't be obligated to pay for a game's maintenance forever. So Ross and a legion of other equally dissatisfied gamers proposed a compromise. They called it the Stop Killing Games Initiative, which basically just asked for companies to simply have a protocol in place that allows players to run their own servers if they want to. Obviously, Obviously, some games are so huge that doing so is kind of untenable, but then again, that's the player's problem. The corporations themselves don't need to worry about the feasibility of it as long as it's technically possible. This doesn't seem like that big of an ask to make from multi-million-dollar companies, but it was clearly too much for Pirate Software. Among many other critiques and blatant misunderstandings of what the campaign was even asking for, he said this:
"It is incredibly vague and will damage all live service games. If we're going to be setting precedent, which could change the way that law works all the way down the road, then we need to be sending the right message, which this is sending a vague message that doesn't cover the actual problem. No, I will not be supporting the initiative Stop Killing Games. You're not going to change my mind on it because I find this language to be incredibly vague and damaging to the rest of our industry."
However, as time went on, and the European Citizens Initiative, which was born out of Stop Killing Games, managed to reach its signature requirement with a whopping 97% validity, Ross began communicating directly with representatives of the European Union.
Signatures for the European Citizens Initiative have been verified. We've officially passed the threshold, and on February 23rd, the organizers will be officially presenting them to the European Commission.
While in the process of speaking to them, Ross eventually heard from a vice president of the Parliament of the European Union that, in fact, Jason was wrong.
One point that keeps coming up again and again is, the initiative needs to be more specific, spell out exactly what it's going to do for the answers. Well, according to the vice president, he says, no, it is good that we're not specifying exactly what should be done, because that's a good way for it not to gain traction.
What's really interesting about this is that in Jason's own critique, he complains that a blanket solution like Stop Killing Games could not work in some exceptional scenarios, which is a really good reason why the initiative shouldn't be overly specific. It needs to account for a wide variety of different games that may all need to adapt differently to these demands. By the way, it's really funny that the crew was pivotal in kickstarting this whole thing, because now people have privately reverse engineered the game and it's currently in a playable state. For something that is supposedly too expensive, time-consuming, and difficult for major game companies to do, it's really impressive how random people online repeatedly can figure it out, do it themselves, and then release it online for free. Jason's embarrassing attempt to stop the movement in its tracks ironically gave it more support than ever, as Ross was able to use Jason's downfall to rally thousands of signatures in his favor. Meanwhile, Jason's career took a nosedive. His Twitch has been consistently losing followers, and it dipped below 1 million in late 2025. By November, his average viewers on Twitch, which used to be well over 10,000 at its peak, dwindled down to around 2,000 live viewers. Meanwhile, his monetary income from gifted subs and ad revenue were also in a steep decline. Granted, he did still have a few wealthy donators who would drop a fat stack on him every couple of weeks to keep things afloat, to make it look like the channel still had motion. While he definitely still makes a good amount of money even in comparison to other content creators, it's a shadow of what he was once earning back when he had partnerships with Ludwig and other popular streamers.
Does Algo punish you for the downvotes? Yeah, generally that happens. So like if you're wondering I'm not showing up in your recommended, it's likely because of that.
As a result, he did what a lot of creators who are, quote, falling off tend to try to do. He diversified his content in hopes it would bring people back. This manifested as the Indecember Games Show, where he would spend the year's chilliest month playing indie games on stream and interviewing the game's developers. At face value, this might look like someone with a decently large platform trying to shine some light on small indie games that would otherwise go unnoticed. My hope is to build something that showcases how awesome the indie space really is without money being an issue. However, this decision to play all of these indie games came off as more of an attempt to farm engagement off the community rather than to actually promote anyone. For years at this point, Jason has held game jams, where instead of him playing the games himself, he'd have his mods do it, and because of how poorly ran these events were, it heavily hurt his reputation within the community. To really delve into the meat of the situation, we have to take a look at a few relatively long posts on Reddit which summarize the expectations around this event, versus the reality of what happened. User Spicy Bread made a couple of threads on r/GameDev about Jason's game jams. I joined Pirate Software's recent game jam, and I highly recommend against participating in future ones. Firstly, community community voting was turned off. This is standard for game jams. Members of the community play and rank games, and in return, they get a boost in visibility. Not so in Pirate Software's community. This feature was entirely disabled. No one was able to decide community rankings except for the mods. Judging was entirely decided by Pirate's mod team. And oh boy, they made a very strange set of decisions. They admitted to spending only 5 minutes per game and selected a list comprised of many amateurish games. Of the top 10, several of these games were very poor, inarguably undeserving of the position. Much better games were snubbed to promote these low-quality entries. The jam had no shortage of talent, but the top 10 certainly did. Furthermore, when I left my post-jam write-ups on game number 2, it was deleted by the moderators of the jam, and I was permanently banned from all Pirate Software spaces. The review is gone, but the reply from the developer remains, and they seemed anything but offended. The jam is corrupt. I don't know what metrics were used to determine the winners, but they are completely incomprehensible. They disable public rating, which also disables karma. Itch.io's karma system rewards developers who play and rate a lot of games with additional visibility. Disabling the system removes that incentive structure, so it leads to a more dead jam. The judges, bless them, are very overworked, so they usually end up leaving short and basic feedback. No slight to them, I think their job is unfeasible. The top picks are usually very strange. Jam number 15 was won by a pretty decent game with no implementation of the themes asked by the jam, just because it happened to be about Thor's ferrets. About half the top picks of jam number 17 were nowhere near the best picks of the jam, much to the frustration of myself and many others. When Thor plays the top picks on stream, he shows real disrespect for a lot of the games he chooses, barely even getting past the tutorial of some, while playing others for 30 minutes. He shows a huge amount of favoritism towards certain genres, especially games like Heartbound, and open disdain to other genres like incremental games. Fine for an individual, unacceptable for the host of a game jam. It's worth noting that this whole post was made in August of 2025, a time period during which the Pirate Software hate train had long since left the station. So to play devil's advocate here, it could be that this developer, Spicy, was merely a frustrated dev hopping on a bandwagon and exaggerating things to get attention on Reddit. But one of his threads actually was corroborated, not by just anyone, but from a former moderator for Pirate Software. It's true that we only play games for 5 minutes, and we basically just pick games that we personally had fun with. Then, the team all plays those games that anyone listed in their fun list. They are put into random slices of groupings, so each mod plays 2 to 5 groupings. It's a very disorganized system, but when we have 2,000 games to play in a week and only about 20 mods to work on them, shrug. It's a flawed system. We're also told not to be negative in our reviews. Constructive, but not negative at all. I know that when I judged, there were a lot of spectacular games that just didn't fit most of the judges' playstyles, so they didn't find them fun. It's insanely subjective. In response, a lot of people pointed out that the easiest solution to the problem of having too many games to judge is to simply open the game jam up for the community to vote on, something that's already the standard for these kinds of events. But for some reason, this was never an option for Jason. In fairness, after he became widely hated online, I guess I can see a reason for him to not allow everyone to vote and fear that trolls may come in and get up to some mischief.
Yo, another $200 donation!
Lol 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 gets trolled lol lol lol.
The West has fallen.
With that being said, Jason already had the policy of only allowing his mods to judge games long before he was hated online, so I really have no idea why it was done this way. My best speculation is that Jason wanted the game jam to cater more to his personal tastes and what his favorite stuff was, rather than what the best game was. As for the rule of no negative criticism and banning anyone who criticizes anything, we already know that that's par for the course for Jason, so that's not really surprising.
You would know that if you were a programmer, which you're not.
Banned. While all of this lore in and of itself was pretty interesting, another game dev also came forward telling a similar story. I love this jam and the people. The judging process, on the other hand, here's my story. We are known in his community because we try to do MMOs for his jam. The Umbra Arise game was our first MMO attempt, but as I was sharing progress during the jam, one of the head mods that is a judge basically said, "You are either cheating or lying. You can't do an MMO in 2 weeks." You can see this in meme screens screenshots posted on the itch page. We took it like a champ and ran it as a joke. The problem is, I think this actually affected the judging, and they just assumed we cheated. The game doesn't play that great. It's hard to get into, but it's really fun once you understand the bad controls. The technical fleet behind it was impressive to many, and his community ended up loving us. Did we make top 10? Nope, Bad Games did. Our game was so popular in his jam that it was spammed in his chat, and he decided to highlight our game on stream as special extra game that was cool. He said it was incredible that we made it, so why not top 10? We believe him and the team just can't comprehend the fact we accomplished this, even though I posted everyday progress on the game. Even though our game left an impression on people, and in his chat on the VOD, you will see some commenting, how did this not get top 10? Don't get me wrong, judging so many games is hard. I know they try their best to have a fair system, but it's ridiculous how some insane games get pushed under the rug. I'm pissed that me and my team got accused of cheating because we tried to do something big and challenge ourselves. Game jams are about pushing boundaries, and we feel these, quote, jokes against my team was terrible. Quote, you don't have the skills to do this. If you do, you cheated. That's how real hard work is seen by these clowns. As you can see, the impression this whole thing gives off is that Jason, and at least some of his mods, are much more interested in parading their relationship to the indie game community around rather than actually rewarding good work, which was supposed to be the stated intention of these events. Naturally, the amount of people taking part in these game jams decreased quite a bit over time once they developed more of a negative reputation. These Reddit posts I just went over are all in reference to Game Jam 15 from July of 2024. It had over 2,000 entries, while the next one from January of 2025 had only 1,700. The first Game Jam held after the drama with SKG erupted had just 400, with the latest one currently having less than 200 submissions. By the time Jason finally got around to playing the games himself for the In December Games show, it was too little too late, and general public sentiment had already soured on him to the point where indie devs weren't exactly hankering for Pirate Software attention. Consequently, the videos of him playing the games performed pretty poorly for his channel. There are two really obvious reasons for this. Firstly, his YouTube audience has drastically decreased in size due to his controversies, and secondly, the overall variety and quality of submissions has decreased quite a bit over time. But Jason was determined to stay the course regardless of the hatred he was facing.
The reason why, Temney, is if you look at it, there's a bunch of people that have just been putting hateful comments in all the videos. They've also been downvoting all the videos because they just don't like me. I don't care. I'm just going to keep putting up In December videos because I think what we're doing is cool. And I think showing off all those games is cool. And I think it's really positive for the community. And I'm not going to stop doing it because some people are upset at me. Who's downvoting them? A bunch of people. It's not just like one dude or anything like that. It's just people who don't like me. It's not really hurting me. It's hurting devs that are trying to get the word out about their game. So, bit weird.
In a way, I have to admire the fact that a guy who has faced so much backlash is still willing to continue posting through it, even to his own detriment. Most other people would have given up a long time ago. But his mix of determination and arrogance still doesn't change the fact that his Twitch, YouTube, and his indie game competitions have all taken a significant turn for the worse. But thankfully, he still had plenty of other non-content creation prospects to sink his time into. Despite mainly being known for his streams and YouTube shorts, that was never Jason's priority. His real goal has always been to develop and publish his game, Heartbound. Or at least, that's what he says, and it's what he's supposed to do since people have already paid for that game nearly 10 years ago. And so far, they've gotten just under half of the game that was promised to them. Instead of an actual game, they get quote-unquote monthly updates that are not exactly monthly since he skips some months, and they're not exactly updates since he just adds a few lines of dialogue to the game and not any significant new content. In my original video about Jason, I documented this much more thoroughly, but just so you can understand the degree of laziness this indicates, this game was kickstarted in early 2017, and it had its estimated delivery set to November that same year. At this point, the game already had a playable beta, so it's not like Jason didn't already have a lot of the important groundwork done. And most importantly, it's just an Undertale clone. Now, I don't want to say this this to talk down to these RPG maker-like games, especially because I personally think this genre has seen a lot of cool releases. But it's a fact that these games are technically easier to put together than others. That's why many of them are made on the indie side by 1 or 2-man teams. The scope of these projects makes them easier for 1, 2, or 3-man teams to develop. Yet for some reason, Heartbound is still not in a completed state. In 2021, Jason excused the fact his game was years behind schedule with a pretty interesting argument, comparing himself to the developer of Undertale. Toby Fox is a multi-millionaire with near unlimited resources. I'm a dude in my basement making an RPG with 2 others. If you want to play a good game, wait for me to finish it. The thing is, he can't really use that excuse for a few reasons. Toby Fox was not a multimillionaire before he made his game, which he developed in 2 years. The Kickstarter for Jason's game, Heartbound, asked for the resources he would need to finish it, and he ended up raising way more money than he asked for. So a lack of resources is not a good justification. And finally, Jason has been absolutely swimming in streaming money for a while now. He's not struggling to make ends meet by any stretch of the imagination. With a game as simple as his, it should have been done many years ago. Obviously, I'm not a game developer, I'm a commentary YouTuber, so my brain is roughly the size of a pea. But some people who are a lot smarter than me with a lot more expertise went over Heartbound's code. And soon enough, the reasons for its development slowing down started to become clear. The first one is that his code is written in such a way that the bigger a project becomes, the harder it is to work on, let alone for anyone else to finish the job. Because of how poorly indexed elements of his code are, he either has to remember their functions off the top of his head or constantly go back and cross-reference them. In a project that's still ongoing 9 years later, you can assume that he's not remembering much and now has to relearn what his own code does constantly. The second reason is that he just doesn't want to finish it. Even with his online career being in a massive state of decay, he's making way more money streaming than he ever could in game development. And the people who still like him now will probably continue to like him whether he finishes the game or not. Anyone who has not stopped watching him since the drama started clearly has no issue with anything he's done, at least not enough to stop watching his content, so that isn't really a concern. With all of this in mind, the only real incentive that Jason has to keep working on Heartbound is that he promised it on his Kickstarter 9 years ago. Clearly, this has not been motivation enough considering it's been 9 years. Lastly, and this is a more speculative reason, based on what Jason himself expresses, he's not really into the genre that Heartbound exists in.
By the way, I've realized through creating Heartbound that I don't ever want to create a narrative RPG again. I just want to create mechanics. I wanted to do systems design. I wanted to make Heartbound so that I could learn how to be a better writer. And I found throughout that process that I just don't like writing. Right? That's... Thing learned, right?
But the kind of game that he's actually shown himself to be really into, time and time again, is MMORPGs. Stuff like World of Warcraft or EVE Online.
I ran, and I was out of mana.
But those kinds of games are very difficult to make as an indie dev due to how massive they are. So the most likely reason he even made Heartbound in the first place is because Undertale was extremely popular, and it was relatively easy to make something like it. Now that Undertale is 10 years old, and it's become really hard for Jason to continue making his game because of the coding issues, progress is still at a standstill. This is why he's taken so long and why he started so many side projects and even talked about making other games, while Heartbound is still in its current, incomplete state, coming up on a decade since its announcement. When the conversation around Jason was at its peak, a lot of people who weren't even that tapped into the drama, or people that otherwise just never talk about it, decided to check in and give their honest thoughts. One such creator was Slippy. He posted an hour-long video reviewing everything that was complete at that time.
This game is like just actually such nothing. First thing, I can't even call it an RPG. It's not even an RPG game because you fight a boss at the end of every chapter. You don't fight anything else any other time. There's no other enemies. There is barely any combat in this game. It has no gameplay. This game pretty much has no gameplay.
You can go see his full video to get an even better grasp of what he's saying here, but to be honest, it's kind of overselling it to even call it an Undertale clone, because Undertale has plenty of combat and the mechanisms are extremely good and fluid. Meanwhile, Heartbound is more of a walking simulator with rare moments of combat. The actual dynamics of the game are not even 1% as impressive as Undertale. Even if it did get finished, I don't see how it would come out much better than it already is. For years at this point, Jason has been saying that he's nearly finished with the game's next chapter, and he's even shown progress charts of how far along he is. But to me, this is like saying that we're about to be at war with Iran. Where it's almost always...
Oop, hang on. Fucking Discord. I can't hear a thing you're saying. There we go. Okay. I think you gotta take that helmet off. Is the bat mask on? Did you already take the gold buff in this place? There, oh, there it is. You have to focus. That's right. Your inventory's full. If you go to all the vendors in town, I think each one sells one a 5 pouch inventory upgrade. You might have to back up a little bit. There you go.
Are you having a laugh?
I don't know. I never done it with somebody sitting right there. Oh, you got thrown in jail. Maybe they'll erase your bounty. They took money from you too. Hey, no, you still got the gold bar. They didn't take it from you. They didn't take it from you. Go to the bank. You can sell it for 500. No, go to the bank. You can sell it for 500. It should be behind you. To the left, I think. And then you're just gonna follow the path around.
Seem quite trustworthy. Looked like they knew what they were doing.
No, that's not
Did
it. It's got one. It's got like a single big guy sitting outside of it. Not that one.
Yeah. Hail.
It's somewhere in that area.
You're a dull blade, aren't you?
If you look at your map, it's right above that tree, so you should be close. Right above you, right there. That's the bank. Yeah.
Who'd have thought it would take so long to get the right thing?
Evil scum!
And there he is, right there. Still to him, you get an easy 500.
Trust matters the most, does it not?
It's down at the bottom in inventory gold bar. There you go, easy 500. If you want to play with the stock market, I don't bother with it. I just steal gold bars and sell it when I need money. It's a little bit of passive income, but you got to keep coming back and checking on it. That's all it is. You put money into it, or you put gold balls into it, and he invests and it gets you money over time. Sometimes you get money, sometimes you lose money. If there's ever an event where there's a whole bunch of nobles gathering around, if you put on the bandit mask and bump into them, you can pickpocket them. If you hold your lantern up to them, you can tell if they're holding a gold bar or not. I don't think it's these guys. There's usually an event where there's a whole bunch of nobles just outside. I haven't seen it yet. I don't know what triggers it. Yeah, that 500 should last you a while. I still have my 500 from the first gold bar, so...
What?
I feel that. There's a shit ton of stuff to do in this game.
Morrow, friend.
the sunrise.
Mm-hmm. That one is for the big guy that you'll be able to play as later. Any weapon that won't let you equip it like that is for a different character.
Light upon me.
You will get that. You should get that at the beginning of chapter 3. It won't take you too long to get to it if you just play the main story. If you just do the main story, I think like an hour maybe, you'll get to chapter 3. It doesn't take that long. And then you'll get the chance to set up a camp, which has your own little strongbox in it. Then you'll be able to upgrade that camp over time. Yeah, once you get to chapter 3 and you beat the boss of that chapter, I forgot his name, it's like the Hone Cutter or Hone Stabber or something like that. Once you beat him, progress a little bit more, and they'll give you a camp to set up. It is somewhere in chapter 3. I don't know if it's the beginning of chapter 3 or the end of chapter 3, but it doesn't take too long. Told you, dude, this game is amazing, and they keep adding little bits and pieces to make it better. I think the update that they had today, you could hold A to sprint, so now you don't have to mash it anymore, which is amazing. You gotta invest your skills, your points into that. That's what I did. I got like at least 200 stamina, then I started investing into health.
Makes no difference to me if he's a bloody Greymane. If he crosses the gold leaves, we set him straight. Patrol the area. Understood? Stay sharp.
Why Shakatu even give a shit about some poxy outlander? Oh, it's him! The Greymane.
I'm not here to fight.
Who the fuck asked?
Hold on, lads. We were looking for you anyway. The Trademaster wants to see you. If you come quietly, there won't be any trouble.
Big mistake.
Mistake? You cheeky cunt.
Get him!
I ain't going to prolong it.
That's your best shit,
Stop those tricks! Face me, coward!
Come on, then! My orders were that you be treated with respect. Go on now. In a treacherous world, often the sword precedes words. I beg forgiveness on their behalf.
I wonder who's making it so treacherous.
A pointed remark indeed. Such is the cost of doing business. The metal makes the merchant. I hope there are no misunderstandings.
Why were your men seeking me out to begin with?
Does such consideration further offend you? I was hoping to speak to you about our branch master, the Horn Splitter. He manipulates the gold leaves to commit misdeeds to satisfy his own greed.
Shaka 2 now.
If we don't stop him now, no one will be able to stop him in the future.
No, the race isn't generally bad. It's the guy who's leading them that's bad, and everybody's just kind of following him because they're afraid of him.
Isn't it good business to back the winning horse?
Once you kill him, everybody, his whole clan turns good.
Not the Horn Splitter. Therefore, I have a request to make of you, Greymane. Please, put an end to him. I see you need further persuasion. An artifact, perhaps. The Horn Splitter's thirst for its power is the root of all this chaos. He is hunting them, so that none may stand against him. Of course, I won't be leaving you empty-handed. Your efforts here will aid the people of Hernand, and will certainly ingratiate you to the Marquis Circus. A very generous man. If my agents are to be trusted, he'll offer the Greymane's land to rebuild. Then, naturally, you would need a great deal of supplies. What do you think? It seems quite the mutually beneficial arrangement, wouldn't you say?
Just playing a game. I just got the baby to bed.
You're a natural merchant.
I'll take that as a compliment.
It's like almost 9 o'clock, yeah. Oh, see? That's what you get for being in a whole different fucking time zone. You're on the wrong side of the country. You're in the expensive part.
Yeah, she's not wrong. She's not wrong. Gas is like 620, 630.
Yeah, it's fine. I don't have to worry about work tomorrow, so that's a plus. I know, doesn't that suck for you?
It does.
I'm never nice.
No, fuck you.
Look, it's Coco. Brace yourself, let me laugh real quick. Wait, are you playing Crimson Desert? That game's pretty dope.
Well now,
game is
the
really
Greymane
good.
that's been meddling in my affairs has saved me the trouble of seeking him out.
Give his crown.
You've been
Give his crown.
with forbidden power.
Forbidden? Sounds expensive.
God, look at that big ass nose.
And all too appealing to a merchant's senses.
Make them do your taxes. You can afford it. Look at that metal hat you got on. It's gold. You look like a slug. Why on earth do you look like a slug man?
You lost your war, Northlander. For daring to stand before me, you will now lose your life.
Great.
Take it from me.
Like soundboard. Oh my gosh. It's Ellie. Sorry. It's the pretty wolf lady. Hello.
Coveting my sword.
You're getting your ass handed to you.
That's only the post boss too, dude.
Right?
It gets a whole lot worse the further you get.
Oof. This is amusing to me. You're having a good time. He is not.
It takes focus. If you went out of focus, you can't do it. Don't choke down, dude. You almost got him.
Ooh.
That's not over, by the way.
No.
Oh, it is over. That's lucky you. I had second phase.
No! Quickly! Tend to my wound!
He must have hated you.
I guess so. I didn't die that much on it, though.
Yeah, they eat him. Just stab the shit out of him.
The founder
That's what
of
happens
our
in
great
prison.
guild once said, "A merchant lives and dies by the trust they foster." But look at us now.
Right? Just
All
while
we have
stabbing him.
fostered is blood and lies.
Yeah,
As I
dude.
set things right, we will rebuild that trust and restore our good name.
What are you gonna do with it?
Eat it.
Yeah, she did. She's streaming anyway in her other server, Reptile World with Risu. Why is it nice? What the fuck is that supposed to mean?
Goodness, thank you. Now,
Why do you need your own Risu for?
The market's back to life.
I don't understand it, but okay. No, I thought he looked like a slug man.
Ah, there you are, Greymane.
I don't think slugs are handsome, but okay.
I have a message for you from Shakatu.
I mean, that sounds kind
He
of
offers his
dope, though.
deepest thanks for putting an end to the Horde Splitter. Because of your help, the Gold Leaves will reclaim the
A perfectly
trust
cooked
you
wiener.
cost us. And the folk of Hernand will at long last be at ease with us. The guild
Just to make your
hopes
day
that
worse.
our alliance holds strong. Listen to me prattling on. I have some information you've been waiting for. Someone calling himself a Greymane has been spotted in the alleys of Hernand.
Yeah, you said you had homework earlier.
We are the Gold Leaves.
You probably should get to writing your paper
The only
instead of
people
playing a
trust
video
with the
game.
Information, there's no mistake. And once you've a place to call home, the guild will see you supplied.
Plus, he can just use AI.
He can't just use AI, honey. That's not how that works. That's just
I certainly will.
Yeah, they can like patch that shit. Algebra.
What are you doing?
Just like you don't have the need to change your oil either. You shouldn't tell me these things then. It's the messenger bird, silly. Eradicates bird. What, sweetheart? Yeah, those are all both of ours. It just made sense. I wear your clothes anyway.
Hiya. Yeah.
Yeah, now your whites are in there, so I have a whole fucking area for my shit to put stuff on.
If you bump into stuff like animals or fences and stuff with the horse, it'll count it as vandalism.
Yeah,
that counts as vandalism because you're in somebody's face. Which is funny because you're not supposed to be able to commit crime without wearing the thief mask. So, well, what the hell?
That's only for stealing. You can still do anything without the thief's mask.
I think you have to have it on to steal though.
Yeah. Huh? Oh yeah, they did.
Now you're stuck being a slug man.
You can get the mask back. I think if you go to a black market video, they'll sell it. Oh, any bandit drops it really commonly. I got a shit ton of them.
Fine day for it, no?
That makes sense. Bandit should drop it. It's like a bandit kind of loot.
It's a loot.
Look at the bright side, dude. You lost a mask, but you got a gold ball for it.
Looking for something in particular?
You just put the mask on, you go steal somebody's livestock, you take it to the fence.
Who's stealing animals? What's wrong with you? Stop feeding him good ideas, honey.
Actually, next to the in near Howling Hill, there's a secret little door for like a dragon room. There's like a big hole in the ground. There's a cave back there at the bottom of the hole that's got diamonds in it.
They don't sell that much, though. I think like 50.
No, I don't think they sell that much.
You know, I think they're like still like a silver and a half a piece or something like that. But you can also mine the stalactites and sell those, and those sell for like 30 or 40 copper each.
If you go up to Debonese, there's a whole bunch of nobles outside with a bunch of gold balls. I just got dead stealing like 6 of them.
Stole 6 of them? Oh my gosh.
Yeah. It's not too far away from the starting city, so you can probably get there in a couple minutes.
I don't know, why are you sweating, hon? Probably is a side. Honey, you sweat just by looking at something spicy. Look at the way he's staring at you while you're buying stuff. Like, yeah, you buy my shit. His hand on his hip. It just. Watch him be selling important shit and not knowing it. You don't get much inventory space, though.
You get a lot more later on. Yeah, it's actually pretty common. You can get upgrades to space.
Oh, okay.
I think most NPCs, they'll sell a pouch for like 1 to 5 inventory spaces.
I've got plenty of fine goods and all at fair quality.
I'm currently sitting at 110 inventory spaces.
You can go fish and catch yourself a fish.
I got a rod for you.
I've got plenty of fine goods. Should you need anything, you know where to find me.
Yeah, you know where to find him.
Consider yourself well met.
Here, Ivor at the new head
What's
of the
that?
Dog Leagues is young and bold.
You just throw stuff at him? What's wrong with you? He's a beggar.
Oh, I knew I could count on you.
Cliff.
Marius.
Yeah, okay. As long as you clarify
So
that.
the rumors were true.
Heck yeah, I've got time to get a boyfriend.
What happened to your leg?
Never mind that. I'm just glad I'm still breathing. Come on, let's walk.
And what of the others?
Yep, you just gotta follow the
Everyone
crippled.
scattered to the four
There's
winds
a lot
after
of
that
that.
night. But Andrew and Naira got blown back my way. They'll be thrilled to see you.
You can see that bastard squirming on the ground. Yeah, who gives a shit if a few of those wankers die? Oh, forget about the bloody riffraff. Come on, let's grab a drink.
No, he's hiding from those people.
The bleed bandits. Downright nasty
You do
bunch
the
of
right
brutes.
thing, dude.
They love to pick fights. Come on.
He doesn't want you to get beat up, he likes you.
You're as sharp as ever.
I managed to gather some useful information as well. And you'd be surprised the gossip that finds its way back to the hovels. Oh,
Anything on the Marquis?
you mean Marquis Circus? He's a generous man. Everyone speaks well of him.
I'm on my way to see him. Heard he'll help us regroup.
Is this a fresh start?
No, love the puppers.
Aye. We'll all be together again.
Well, I'll go and tell Andrew and Naira you're back.
Eating Chef Boyardee ravioli? Okay, good. The fancy stuff. Oh, that's right. You got the money. The hell's that? Gross. It's gonna burn now. Why did you buy one? You were already at the shop.
There's a guy who sells tools. That sells a
Oh, you have
fishing
to go.
rod.
Yeah, he sold that fishing rod. What do you mean? Weren't you just there?
He was.
Sweetheart, you bought the same fishing pole from that dude.
No.
Yes, you did. I watched you.
The general market.
Head over to
Yes.
play again.
Black market.
Who the fuck's the difference?
Black market, dude.
The House
deals-
of Hades.
he's like
Let them
deals
handle
in illicit goods. That's what he's.
Oh, the guy you get the shovel and shit from and the rake.
Yeah, that's not. You did a mask.
Not a mask. He needs a fishing pole.
Oh. You want for fishing pole? Yeah, you
I said a fishing pole like 3 times. Can you listen? Oh my gosh.
It should be down the street. Yeah.
Just walk into everyone's house. You'll eventually find it. No, he doesn't sell masks. He sells a fishing pole.
You gotta find a
Name it,
backbone
and I'll
deal
fetch
for a
it for you.
mask.
Yes.
You kill bandits.
My husband said this like 5 times.
Quality is guaranteed.
And then you yelled at him about a fishing pole.
Shut up! You're not helping. Yeah. Got the real money to buy a hoe. Well,
I've got
yeah, but now
plenty
you
of
got
fun.
it.
Please, come again anytime.
Because I saw it on somebody else's game.
Let's see if he can fish with breeding tutorial. Stop! Have faith in people. What's wrong with you?
We've been working since sunup and I'm not half through.
I don't know. He seems like a fishing guy. He came from Texas.
Yeah.
I feel like he'd go fishing down there. See? He fishes.
On that, Greymane.
He won't break it. He's a professional fisher.
Carry on.
All right.
Let's get going.
Why is he here?
Can't read it
The Marquis
while
is
you're
inside.
fighting.
Please,
Right
follow me.
behind.
Yeah.
No rush. Take your time.
Greymane, the savior of Hanan.
Marquis Circus.
Thank you for coming all the way here.
I never-
I hear you handled things with the gold leaves. Their meddling in the market was a real headache.
Boring.
It went on far too long. Our fair city's burdens have been greatly eased, thanks to you.
I was simply
I don't know.
Your honesty is admirable.
When can you play as a chick? That's what you're interested in?
As a token of my gratitude, I'd like to offer you a place. Any thoughts on a suitable
The Howling what
location?
camp?
We'll take what we can get.
Oh, he has to
I thought
establish
you
a
might
camp.
Say that.
Yeah, that's your
I
camp.
have
That's where you're gonna
already
get
scouted
your
a
chest.
fitting campground.
That's when you get your lady friend.
Head to Howling Hill, just across the river. Marshal Midler should have everything ready for you.
Why do all of this for us?
Oh, there is value in having you as an ally.
It's a great honor.
Until we meet again.
I mean, what other use are you? Yeah, look at that electric charge.
Discuss is the Greymane.
Oops.
Yes. I've received reports of his deeds. I was just considering a fitting reward. If I may, my lord.
You'd be super lazy with that.
Him a holding on Howling Hill. Howling Hill, say. I've heard he is seeking his scattered
Just
comrades.
butcher your own cow and just cook it there.
Establishing a base there would help him gather them together. And it would also serve to strengthen the peace.
Okay, we're not doing that
Yeah,
question.
that's how
That
it
that
works.
question was a lot.
Looking to the future, it may well be the right choice. See it done.
This way. I'll escort you to Howling Hill.
That's really not necessary.
Please. You're taking a huge weight off our shoulders. That horn splitter caused no small amount of trouble for this town. Folk came to us, begging for assistance that we couldn't give. We were at our wits' end till you went and dealt with him.
You sound so
So it's
depressed
the
with
least I
that.
could do. Wish I could do more.
I appreciate
You only
the
deserve
gesture.
one. Apparently so. You didn't give her enough balls in her life. Oh my gosh.
Good. We'll ride there.
I'm not going to.
If you go to your map, you can see what location you could go to, and you could run along the road with him. He should sprint with you. It should be down. zoom out your map and go down to the right, you can see a little yellow dot. Yeah, that's where he's going to take you. And you should be able to sprint, and he should sprint alongside with you.
Yeah.
If you get too far away from him, it resets the mission. You have to follow the road, but he should sprint alongside with you.
Just stay on course, bro.
That's like that really was big. It's like fuck you, slow the hell down.
It is. It's like, oh, you went too fast. Time to reset it.
Yeah, it resets the whole fucking mission. You gotta start all over.
Idyllic. Aside from all the bandits.
So you cross paths with them as well. The lead gang. Solomon,
You don't get a choice.
Spring up from.
That was a 15-minute walking session sound.
They've grown bolder too, harassing folks whenever they get the chance. We patrol as
Who the
best we
fuck is
can.
that bitch? She's
Try to keep the
huge.
townsfolk safe. We simply lack the
God,
manpower
what is she,
to
like
do much
600
beyond our
pounds?
gates. Feels shameful saying so. Before the man who single-handedly took down the horn
She can
splitter.
make a whole tsunami when she sits down. Yeah, maybe. What are you gonna do about it? Nothing. I'm not gonna say that about your mom. I'm talking about a game.
It seems like the gold leads.
Because he's an NPC.
as well. This fellow named Shakatu's been named the new branch master.
Guard can do whatever he wants.
Seems to be quite the competent leader. He's working tirelessly to restore the guild's reputation.
It's that whole double standard thing.
Wonders for the town's peace as well.
Glad to hear that.
He's a reasonable man.
That's too many standards.
Shouldn't cause the town any more trouble. Everyone in Hernand is grateful for your help. Your name was widely known.
I'm like a rule breaker, not a rule follower.
Your efforts. He leaves an impression. Word is Shakatu's rewarded you for your efforts as well.
Just a business arrangement.
Business arrangement, eh? Sounds like there's a story there. But I won't cry.
Yay!
Shakatu for good men as much as good deals. Marshal Midler's never looked lighter on his feet since things settled down.
Do you know what the Marshal's doing at Howling Hill?
Well, I suppose he's getting things set for your camp. Though he's probably got some workers to handle the heavy lifting. He likely wants to thank you himself for saving her.
No.
I'm sure that goes for all those toiling to construct your camp as well.
Say what? Oh, I grew up with horses. Here, I'll go throw them in the pets channel.
Ain't you has photos? Oh my gosh, we get to see horses.
Yeah.
Well, here we are. It's a nice, quiet
Just
little
getting you hyped up about cupcakes for no reason.
We're in Moonrise.
After you build it.
Oh my gosh!
Thank you all for helping. Keep up the pace. Let's carry on.
Of course, right away.
Ew, after a cigarette?
I can't thank you enough.
No. We're the ones who should be
I love
thanking you.
hugs.
The Marquis insisted for everything to be provided. No exceptions.
Is that the Joji?
Let me introduce
It is Joji.
Damien. I'm surprised you haven't met before.
It's a pleasure.
She's
Yeah.
a guest of the Marquis. A spot of troubles brought her here from Deminis. So, might I ask that she be allowed to stay here with you? I can't think of a safer or more hidden location.
It's the best way to be.
You're our guest.
Thank you. I've other matters to see to, so I'll take my leave. Until next time.
That's sad. That person looks like my mom if she was a man.
Huh?
That man looks like my mom if she was a man.
Yeah.
Budge an inch.
Mm-mm.
Hold right on the D-pad.
It's her mama.
You want to be the woman now? Trippy. Oh my gosh.
She's got a completely different skill set that you had to invest
She
in.
does.
I think she does the best with rapiers.
Was that Mike? Her rapier when she does a lightning strike when he strikes the.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think she'd have took the great sword. She's got a special great sword in her inventory.
Yeah, he read it. The two-handed greatsword.
Yeah, that great sword kind of good.
Imagine running in those heels, though. Mm-hmm.
I don't have her hat on. Who do you think she doesn't have her hat on?
Who, Moxie?
Yeah.
Yeah, she was better with her hat. Dang. Flip the earth with that. Gotta learn how to mine.
No, only Cliff does.
Yep, only Cliff.
So you can use the other characters to like go around, kill bandits, explore, but you can't do any of the main story stuff. You can't progress main story or do any of this stuff.
What are you picking up? Oh shit. You weren't doing it right till now. Just keep going. I'm sure it's fine.
Say, because I got a sack for you. Good move. Move it to my marked area.
What the other sacks are? Then a bunch of labor here for free. Look at that little girl move that. Get it, girl.
Yeah.
Good job.
Now you just got to upgrade it. You don't have a choice, buddy.
You must be the man. Back to Slug McGee. You okay, hon?
I brought all the
A little
ingredients, but who's cooking? Well, I suppose
You're
they'll
just
manage this
profiling
fine.
everybody.
Yeah, why you profiling people?
Hey.
Wow, so just because he's wearing red means he's a bad guy.
Just because you think he's part of the fucking Bloods or something? Like, dang.
Fine day. Apples.
That sounds just like something a man would make.
Something to
Just
eat
bra.
would be nice. Me baby's gone and called me pa.
What are you doing with the black man?
Thank you all.
Oh, what a nice surprise.
Ew.
He didn't have
That sounds gross.
prepared by a grey mane. Nothing better than nice.
Now take your time.
Let's taste
Enjoy.
great. We can taste all the seasonings. Impressive cooking skills to boot, eh? The marshal will regret leaving.
Toby with an eye.
It's so nice to all sit down for a meal.
Good day to you.
Yeah, dude.
Hey, Red Dead 2 was a good game, though.
It was an amazing game.
You have to sing it? Oh, it's the horsies. Oh, they're so cute.
Go.
In the Leary overseas.
Yeah, look at the horsies. Aren't they cute? She did.
Yeah.
You gotta look at them. Right? You can't school her on horses.
It's fine. I'm playing a game where I'm dating sentient objects in my house.
Oh my.
Ooh, blender.
It is quite the sentence. You never hear someone say that out loud. You never thought you needed your cleaning utensils until now.
Yeah. Like, really? Yeah, she's over there with her carpet cleaner. Cleaning her carpet.
But I literally just said he's got a carpet I can clean, you know? Wouldn't you like to know?
What do you think it is?
Yeah, what do you think it is? Blame Denzel. Got that clear soup all over that face. Watch these babies. Let's skedaddle. No! What the fuck's wrong with you? They were talking about it, but I don't know if they're going to.
Literally? Does that mean I get my pocket infinity back?
No, you can't just have stuff back. You'd have to redo it, I'm sure.
Okay, I want my pocket infinity back. If they're into a remaster, you have to bring back all this stuff. You can't just be like, no, we have to bring that one gun back. We're too broken. Now saying we gotta bring the broken gun back.
They can just fix it.
That's what makes it good.
Don't make it broken.
Fix it.
It's remastered, which makes...
Fam, you gotta keep it the same. You gotta keep it the same. See that as broke ass pocket infinity, or I don't play it. It's a make or break.
Hate mom. Damn, overkill. He didn't. Unrealistic standards. Steal their shit. And then you cut the corpses up and take them to eat later. You know. A cannibal simulator. That would be a fun simulator. I would play that. Well, now you can. Goat simulator. Looks like an umbrella that just swirls around with.
It's been 1 second. Uh-oh.
Oof.
Oh. Oh.
Oh, jeez.